degrees player, but this is perfect for him with Tom Moore's, if you like, taking the risky shots on. But
I think the fact that Parkinson is coming back is an indication that Ackerman is really concerned now. They need to break this partnership, the Foxes. In goes Parkinson from the pavilion end. Bowls an attempted scoop from Duckett. Whether he got anything on that, I don't know. Because Hill didn't take the ball cleanly. It was a very difficult one for him to take. Had he done so, Parkinson looked interested. But either way, a dot ball to start with for Parkinson. In he goes again. Bowles drops a little bit short and is pulled away into the leg side. Bit of work for George Rhodes to do, running away to his left from long on towards wide mid wicket. Gets there but not before Moores has turned for the second and made it comfortably. Duckett on to 23. It says waiting for the electronic scoreboard. In goes Parkinson, tosses that one up, reaches for the sweep, had to reach for the sweep, Duckett. Well bowled by Parkinson, but he connected nicely. Duckett picks up the single as he gets it down to Dieter Klein, a backward square. Moves on to 24, brings the innovative and at the moment highly successful Moores back on strike. 40 off 27. Where's he going to try and hit this? How is he going to try and hit it? More to the point. In goes Parkinson. Bowls to him. Helicopter shot out through the offside. There is a sweeper out there on the cover boundary in the form of Harry Dearden, so it's going to be just the one. 105 for 3. 2 for 15 for Parkinson from 2.4 overs, 8 wickets in the competition so far. In goes Parkinson, bowls, looking for the slog sweep, stepping across to the offside, not connecting. Duckett comes off the pad, bounces out and down the wicket, picked up by Hill, stepping out from behind the stumps, and there's no run. Parkinson in again, bowls, quicker, flatter delivery, pushed away off Midland leg out towards Rhodes. They will surely turn 4-2 and make it comfortably. The throw would have had to hit from Rhodes at the non-striker's end to have had any chance of running him out. It didn't, so a couple of runs for Ben Duckett. He moves on to 26, 107 for 3, 6 runs from the over. And Parkinson won't be entirely disappointed with that, but when he is getting that little bit of turn, perhaps he'll maybe look for a little bit more flight in his final over.
Yeah, there were no liberties certainly taken by either batsman in that over from Parkinson, who's through 3 overs, 2 for 17. Going to be a change at the far end. Will Davis is going to take over from Dieter Klein. Davis just bowled the one previous over, which went for 5 runs. Nice tidy one in the 11th over, but Tom Moores has certainly accelerated since then, and he's on strike on 41 from 28 balls, 107 for 3. 6 overs remain. 10 and over would be 167, and I guess in a funny way, I think both sides might just accept that. Knots from where they were, and Leicestershire, holding Knots to 167, they'll very much fancy the chances as this is hit down the ground. He was trying to get it square of the wicket, I think, Tom Moores on the leg side, but is that a no ball? It is indeed. Yep, Nick Cook continued to stick his arm out, so it was a really expensive mistake there by Davis in overstepping, because he's gone for the single, but of course 2 more for the no ball, and the free hit is now signalled. So 110 for 3, and stand by your beds, this could go anywhere. Free hit for Duckett. He's on 26. Davis has decided he's going to go round the wicket to the former Northampton. Here he comes. Bustling approach, right arm, fast medium, bowls, and Duckett hits it straight back over his head, and 1 bounce into the sight screen for 4. Nice clean pick up from Duckett. So 5 balls left in an over that's already gone for 7. Isn't the comeback that Will Davis was looking for? It's an absolute cardinal sin, isn't it, to bowl extra balls, be it a wide or a no ball in this.
It is when you're not express. It's not as though you're striving for an extra inch or 2 of pace and you're bowling at 90 miles an hour plus. It's
114 for 3. The line doesn't move, it's always there. Just make sure your foot's behind it. Next ball is worked away onto the leg side, and again he's bisected the fielders there for 4 more. It was indeed. He reached forward there, Duckett, and as we've been saying, and everybody knows, he's not the tallest of fellas, but I think he got to it sort of a low full toss, and like Moores earlier, you just sometimes wonder how they can manipulate the ball into certain areas, just so wristy.
Yeah.
118 for 3, 58, 68, 76. He says, doing the old Rachel Riley's quickly there. 76 they've put on. Duckett, he's now going at better than a run of ball. 34 from 27.
I'm looking at Dave and I'm thinking of Rachel Riley, and there's quite a big jump.
118 for 3. Duckett has 34. Here comes Will Davis. Field is up on the offside, and it's slammed back past the bowler for 4 more by Ben Duckett. That's 3 in a row. The over didn't get off to the best of starts from Will Davis, and it's continued to spiral downhill.
He didn't put it there, Davis, on that occasion.
That's 15 that we've had from the over. Is that right? There's still 3 balls left?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it 3 or 2? 4, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2. We've had 5, one of which was a no ball, so...
Well, that's what I thought, but it's saying 14.3. Let's have a look. Next ball forced by Duckett off the back foot, but straight to the bowler this time. Yeah.
Unless that's 1 plus 2 no balls.
Yeah, I think it must be, yeah. So 2 balls left.
Yeah.
15 from 4, most expensive over of the innings.
And power to add.
122 for 3. Duckett on 38. Moores has 42. It's 2 left-handers really getting on with it now, and Duckett's helped this one away down towards long leg. There'll be a couple of runs. Love to see his wagon wheel. Well, but for both of them, in fact. Complete 360-degree players.
He's rehearsing that, but he's rehearsing it from a foot or so, maybe 2 feet outside off stump, to get it down to long leg. Deliberately play it down there is the astonishing thing.
124 for 3, final ball of the over. Ben Duckett on 40. Might take a single and fancy keeping the strike. Here's Davis in again. Well, he's not looking for the single. He's looking to find the ropes, but he won't. Just a couple of runs. That's good fielding in front of the main scoreboard there. Somebody who's almost in a different postcode to us, but a couple of runs to end the over. Both batsmen are on 42. The Outlaws are 126 for 3, 19 from that over from Will Davis. And if he hadn't just overstepped by half an inch first ball or so, it would have just been a single from the first one, and he'd have been able to ease himself into the over rather than really playing catch up. 126 for 3, 5 to go.
We were thinking 150 to 160 might be a decent score, but Knott's ambitions will be now much higher than those, and demonstration of the depth and the class of this Outlaws side. Parkinson, as Ackerman desperately tries to break this partnership, will finish his spell. In he goes and bowls an attempted reverse hit from Tom Moores, doesn't connect, and Parkinson almost on principle appeals, but although it pitched a long way outside off stump and did spin back in, not going to be given that one by umpire Pollard. In goes Parkinson, fires that one in, and just waiting for it. Moores pushes it back past the bowler down the pitch on the onside, and takes one as from long gone. George Rhodes comes running in.
So much for the umpire to weigh up when they go for the switch it and miss it, and there's an LBW appeal. You've got to.
It bounced as well, didn't it?
Has it pitched outside leg for the left-hander or the right-hander?
Yeah. In goes Parkinson, over the wicket again, this time to Duckett, who just paddles him around the corner, just stepped right across, waited for the delivery, it turned, and he helped it on its way down to long leg for 4. Dave's going to update BBC Radio Nottingham with some pretty good news for over the last half an hour. Ben Duckett and Tom Moores having built this impressive partnership, which is now approaching 100. They came together with a score on 42. It's now 131, so 89 they've added so far for the 4th wicket. In goes Parkinson and bowls again to Duckett. Again, he's swept around the corner down towards long leg. This time Klein does get to the ball quite quickly, and he's got one of the best arms in the Leicestershire side, Dieter Klein. One bounce into the gloves of Lewis Hill right next to the stumps, so it has to be just 1 for Duckett. Moves on to 47, who's going to be first to 50. In goes Parkinson, bowls to Moores, who slogs him down to mid-wicket for 4. Genuine real slog there from Tom Moores, but no less legitimate for that. The shot down to cow corner has its place in T20 cricket, and Moores played it very well indeed. He's playing with the spin, of course, but even so, muscled it away. In goes Parkinson and bowls the helicopter drive from Moores. He's going to pick up 2 because long off has to run diagonally around 10 yards to get to the ball, so 2 it is to Moores. He moves on to 49. Duckett has 47, but Duckett, it will be on strike, because that is the end of the over. 138 for 3 at the end of the 16th. So 12 from Parkinson's final over. 4 overs, no maidens. 2 for 29 for the young left arm spinner. Pretty good effort in the circumstances, but he'll be disappointed not to have picked up another. Bowled the ball of the day by some margin to dismiss Alex Hales. Beautiful delivery. It just turned from sort of middle, clipped the top of off, and Hales, who was playing or attempting to play a defensive shot, bemusedly looked back down the pitch before walking slowly off. But Duckett and Moores have done more than repair the innings. 138 for 3, so 96 the partnership now, as Duckett is on strike to Gavin Griffiths. Not surprisingly, Will Davis has been taken off. Griffiths round the wicket to Duckett, who makes a little bit of room, steps away to leg, and Griffiths sees that and bowls outside off stump, and Duckett, a rather inelegant swat at the ball as it goes past outside off stump. Not going to be signalled wide, I'm afraid. Dropped ball, a rare event in recent overs. 138 for 3. All the leg side fielders out on the boundary and 1 on the offside. Griffiths in again. Duckett hits him through mid-on. Tom Moores hops out of the way. You can tell how straight it was from that fact. But out there on the long gone boundary, the fielder gets across to his right and makes the stop. So just a single. Duckett on to 48. Moores has 49, 139 for 3. Partnership 97. Griffiths tosses the ball from hand to hand. He has brought a fielder in on the leg side now. Parkinson, who is at short fine leg. And he has got a long off. In goes Griffiths and bowls. Moores almost one-handed, had to wait for that before managing to get it out into the leg side. Picks up 1 as Lilly fields, and that's 50 for Tom Moores. 50 has come off 34 balls at a strike rate of 147. Well played, Tom Moores. On a tricky wicket, and once you're in, however, it seems to be perfectly playable, judging by the way these two are going about their business. Griffiths in, bowls to Duckett, short outside off stump, or too wide anyway, not too short really, but Duckett can just rock back and cut it out into the offside. Picks up Nick Welsh though on the cover boundary, coming in from the cover boundary, so just a single to Duckett. Moves on to 49, 141 for 3, 99 the partnership now for the fourth wicket. Griffiths good over so far, just 3 singles from the first 4 balls. Can he keep it up? He's ready to go. Pauses, little shimmy, and starts his run in past umpire Cook and bowls, and again slightly short but a slower ball. So again Moores takes his bottom hand off the bat and does a curious almost little dance as he gets that one way into the leg side, pulls it around the corner down towards Harry Dearden, takes one, moves on to 51, 142 for 3. That's the 100 partnership for the fourth wicket between Ben Duckett and Tom Moores, and what a job they are doing for the Outlaws. We're still just in the 17th over and they've got the score up to 142 for 3. Duckett on 49 awaits the arrival of Gavin Griffiths, who bowls, clipped out into the leg side, off the legs, down towards Dearden, in the air, bounces a few times before it gets to the field, and that's 50 for Ben Duckett. Just a couple more deliveries than those faced by Tom Moores for his 50. His has taken 37, but an almost equally effective job done by the diminutive left-hander.
Yes, well batted to both of them. Duckett last night featured in an unbroken stand of 98 with Chris Nash, which saw Notts home. This one equally important because they were in a little bit of trouble. There's no doubt about it at 42 for 3, but this side packed with quality, and in times of adversity you do look for people to put their hands up and respond, and they've done it very nicely indeed. In something like 12 overs they've had 100. Both players now past 50. And with 18 balls left, it really is help yourself time if they can get Notts up to the top side of 170. I think they'll be absolutely delighted. Both players, by the way, have hit 5 4s, 2 6s for Tom Moores, none for Ben Duckett. Thought he had hit one, but clearly not. It's not on the scorecard. A couple to Joe Clark then, and a couple to Tom Moores. 3 to go, 143 for 3, and the first of them will be bowled by Will Davis, who overstepped first ball last time. What will he do this time? Oh, it's short, and Duckett was already through the shot, and there was a bit of a coming together, an accidental coming together between Tom Moores and Will Davis, both for different reasons, trying to get down to the other end. They each apologised to each other, and it's a leg by.
Yeah, can't help feeling if Duckett had just waited,
yeah,
he would have put that somewhere over the Milligan Road, but predetermined going for a reverse.
It's a good last over from Griffiths, by the way. 3
singles.
overs, none for 18, yeah.
Yeah, no, he's bowled well. He picked up T20 best figures in the last game, a 4-fer.
There's Davis then bowling to Moores on 51. He goes for a leg side hit. Now there's a man out there on the rope, should catch it, and does, and that's a very, very good catch indeed. And Moores goes for 51. Fine effort out there on the fence. 144 for 3. Davis has got the wicket, and as Rich kindly helps me out, Dieter Klein is the player who would have been looking right into that sun. I didn't fancy him much above 20% to catch that, but he did high above his head, and that was a very, very good effort. Well battered, Tom Moores, and it took a very decent catch to get rid of him.
Yeah, he didn't just take the wicket, he saved 6 runs there, Dieter Klein. He'd been brought in sort of 10 yards because it is such a long boundary out there, good 75, maybe 80 yards. He was having to back pedal, and he's not a particularly tall man, leapt into the air, took it two-handed above his head, and it would certainly have cleared the ropes for 6. So Davis, slightly fortunate there, I suspect. But they won't mind.
No, that's the good news for Leicestershire. Not so good news is that Captain Christian is out there, who is an absolute brute of a man. He, in another life, he would have been a lumberjack, and he wouldn't have bothered with the chainsaws. He'd have just knocked over those giant redwoods or whatever it is. As Davis bowls, this is short, pulled away nicely. onto the leg side, but again picks out D Decline, who's a busy man of the moment.
Partnership of 102 for the fourth wicket.
145 for 4, so that single takes Christian down to the business end
in just under 12 overs.
Yes, and to start with, they just both played themselves in, didn't they? That chaotic over from Davis, where he began with the overstepping, and then there was an over that followed it from Aaron Lilly, and away went Notts. I think we're just about ready. Dan Christian went for a bit of a walk. It just seems to be a little cooler out there, right on the strip that they're playing on now. We have got a little bit of shade out there. And first ball, Christian has gone on the scoop, and he's going to go first ball. And Davis has got second wicket of the over, second wicket in 3 balls. And that is the problem. Sometimes these players have all the shots and want to show you them all at once. First ball, Dan Christian has tried to scoop it over the keeper's head, and it's pretty much gone straight up. I'm sure Lewis Hill, the keeper, could have got there, but he's instead left it to the man who started it out at short third man, but ran round to take it almost behind the keeper. 145 for 4. Dan Christian out first ball.
Gavin Griffiths, the catcher. As you say, if he just looked to play a fairly normal crunch down the ground or something like that, you feel, Dan Christian, but when it isn't a particularly quick wicket, the scoop shot is a dangerous one. And so it proved for Christian on that occasion.
Stephen Mullaney has come in at 7, which means Samit is back where he started the season, the Bob Willis Trophy games at number 8. Samit Patel, of course. Here's Davis then, 2 wickets in the over, a very different over from his previous one. He bowls and Duckett clips it down the ground and sets off, hairs off, intending to call Mullaney back, but then settles for a single. 146 for 5, and with only 13 balls left in the innings, Leicestershire again have put the brakes on a Nottinghamshire charge.
Davis' figures look rather more respectable than they did at the start of the over.
Always nice to have a couple in that end column, isn't it?
Yeah, not half. He was looking down the barrel, wasn't he, there? If that one had done a foot higher over D Decline, it would be. 46
for 5. So Mullaney to face his first ball and drives into the offside, and he's away. 2 overs to go. Snooker maximum on the board. 147 for the Outlaws. 5 down. That was a terrific over for the Foxes and for Will Davis. 4 runs from it and 2 runs. Tom Moore's figures, by the way, 51 from 36 balls, 5 fours and 2 sixes. Ben Duckett currently 51 not out from 39 balls with 5 fours. 147 for 5. Lots of bowling options for Ackerman. He's used 7 different bowlers, and the only one that's bowled out so far is Parkinson, so he could pretty much take this as he wants. D Decline's got 1 to spare, and so has Gavin Griffiths. They're more than likely going to bowl out, but after that one from Davis, he might get his final one.
Yeah, he looked a risk to be using Davis, but came off for Ackerman and for Leicestershire. Gone back to Griffiths. 3 overs, none for 18 for the Lancastrian. Looks around him, sees every fielder on the leg side out on the boundaries. He comes in to bowl to Stephen Mullaney, who tries to smear him away through the offside. Connects nicely, but he rather does pick out Davis on the edge of the circle. And just a single as a consequence. I've
lost count, I think, this season, how many times I've said either Mullaney's been bowling or Mullaney's been batting, and the one he's been directly up against is also a Lancastrian, and it happened there. Of course, Gavin Griffiths and Stephen Mullaney, but there's a lot of them around now. Of course, Aaron Lilly's another one in the.
Callum Parkinson.
Yeah, of course, in the Leicester
Harry
team. Tom Moore's had a lone spell, of course, with the Red Rose.
4 of them on the Leicestershire side. There's
quite a lot around the counties.
Don't think there's any more than 4. That's it. Round the wicket, Griffiths to the left-handed Ben Duckett. Bowls, and Duckett has to wait for that one as he steps out, tries looking initially, I think, to drive it on the offside, ends up getting a bottom edge and turning his wrist on it, and it runs out towards Dearden at square leg. He held it back nicely, Griffiths, who seems to have got his slower ball working well. Still got bright sunshine here at the Fisher County ground, but it's so low that the ground is pretty much in shadow now. Shadows being cast by the trees that run between the popular seats alongside the meet and the net area here at Grace Road. Griffiths back over the wicket to the right-handed Stephen Mullaney, 149 for 5, comes in bowls to Mullaney, who clears his front leg and tries to hit him out into the offside, doesn't time it, it runs out fairly tamely towards mid-off, picked up by Ackerman, another single, another good over so far for Griffiths.
It is indeed, it's not a traditional end to the innings that you'd be expecting. 150 up, 150 for 5. Ben Duckett averages 29 across his career in T20, but he's done that average a little bit of a boost over the last 24 hours. 57 not out last night, 53 not out here at the moment on strike.
He's waiting with bat raised as Griffiths got about 2/3 of the way into his run and then decided to pull out, and umpire Cook makes a signal that I don't think is quite, it wasn't quite the let's not get on with it signal. It was a bit more energetic than that. In comes Griffiths and bowls outside off stump. Again the slower ball, and again Duckett is beaten by the lack of pace. He stepped out and was ready to crack it away, but he went through with his shot far too early.
North Group, Durham 157 for 5, Lancashire 55 for 8.
We'll be interested to see what's... is it the full strength side? Have they...
Davis, Livingston, Croft, Vilas, Jones.
Yes, it is.
So in the top order, yeah. Luke Wood, Hartley, so. Mahmood.
Completely. In goes Griffiths and bowls to Duckett, who clips him away, but straight to Harry Dearden at deep backward square, and Griffiths has a wicket. He puts his hands up to his face, perhaps in a little bit of embarrassment, really. It was there to be clipped away by Duckett, but he just picked out the fielder at deep backward square, about 5 yards inside the ropes. A comfortable catch for Harry Dearden, and from 144 for 3, Nottinghamshire are now 150 for 6.
Yeah, and talking of all sorts of fanciful figures earlier, 160, get there and then push on. Well, 150 for 6, and right now they'll be lucky if they do put 160 on the board. Samit Patel is the new man. Mullaney and Patel have shared many a partnership over the years, but this one can only last 7 balls at the most, so that's all that's left. Mullaney 3 from 3 is on strike. Samit Patel at the non-striker's end.
Griffiths to finish his spell. Down the slope he comes, bowls to Mullaney, and again makes a little bit of room, clears his front leg, but Griffiths sees him stepping back towards leg and pushes through a full delivery, pushed out towards mid-off in the end by Mullaney, and an excellent last over from Gavin Griffiths. 4 singles he conceded and picked up the wicket of Ben Duckett. Finishes with 1 for 22 from his 4 overs.
Yeah, just sort of reflecting on what you've just said, 8 for 3 from the last couple of overs. That's certainly again tilted it back towards Leicestershire, who had their noses in front by winning the power play, removing Nash, Clark and Hales, and they finished just as strongly as they started. It's going to be Will Davis to get the final over. He's lurched from the ordinary to the very, very special during this bowling spell, and his 3 overs 2 for 27. What will his final over bring? Samit Patel, first ball comes at Davis, and he just cloths one over the bowler's head and just gets a single. I beg your pardon, it was Stephen Mullaney on strike, came at the bowler and didn't get a great deal of bat on it, in truth. Lifted it over the bowler's head for a single. 152 for 6. The Outlaws with 5 balls left. Every run now you fancy might be very, very crucial come around about an hour and a half, an hour and 40 minutes from now. 152 for 6. Davis to bowl to Samit Patel. Not undefeated in the group to this point. Welsh, who certainly I haven't mentioned in the field. I think the ball's been doing a very good job of avoiding him this evening. Comes in from the long on boundary to field. It's 153 for 6.
That was another slower ball from Davis.
Couple of singles to start this. The final over. Mullaney on strike on a run of ball 5. Right-hander raises his bat and then heaves it away on the leg side, and the fielders out there on the meat side of the ground immediately started looking behind them. Harry did, and was already going over the ropes towards the boards to see where it landed, just so it wasn't a lost ball. That was a mighty blow from Mullaney. It was, in truth, nothing more than a gentle long up from Will Davis, and Mullaney is a strong old boy and helped it high over the ropes for 6.
Can't keep bowling slower balls. Otherwise the batsman's prepared. And Mullaney, you could say, was prepared for that one. Absolutely heaved it, tucked in.
Well, 159 for 6, so the Foxes will need at least 160, but there are 3 balls left in the Outlaws' innings. Chat between the two batsmen.
Take some getting 8 and over already.
Need a decent start. You need Welsh and Delaney to come through the power play, or at least be no more than 1 down,
because the depth isn't quite there.
159 for 6. Mullaney on strike. Where will the next one go? Back over the bowler's head, and it's going to be caught at mid-off by Ackerman, who does very well indeed, and Stephen Mullaney has to go, and Davis has got another one. 2 balls left in the innings, and it's 159 for 7, and one or two players who we haven't yet seen batting or being required to bat for Notts in this season's Blast competition have got to make their way out to the middle, and here comes Imad Wasim for his pretty certain is his first knock of the campaign. 159. Is that for 6? It is for 7. It's for 7. No, the board has just turned it over. It was still showing as 6.
Imad Wasim has not batted in
the
T20.
He's at the non-striker's end. He might not actually get down to the business end. Let's have a look as Samit Patel bludgeons it down the ground to Welsh. They've got to run for 2. They've got to, and they do. Comfortable couple in the end. So Imad Wasim won't be required to actually put bat to ball unless there's any mishaps from the bowler. 161 for 7. Patel has 3. Can he finish by adding to the Outlaws' boundary count, or can Davis get his 4th wicket? He's in, bowls. Patel does neither, helps it into the offside, fielded by Rhodes, straight to Rhodes, and that's the end of the innings. 162 for 7, and you'd have to say the Foxes, I'm sure, would have bitten your hand off if they'd offered it to them an hour and a half or so ago, when Dan Christian's side were preparing to take first strike. 162 for 7. Nash out for 4, and Clark and Hales followed. The end of the power play, 42 for 3. Century partnership, of course, in the middle of all that. 162 for 7, and then the Foxes came back very strongly in the closing 3 or 4 overs, and Stephen Mullaney, despite helping himself to a 6 in the final over, departed, leaving Samit Patel 4 not out, and Imad Wasim didn't face a ball. 3 for 38 is that for Will Davis, the most successful of the Foxes bowlers, although the ball
the most expensive as well.
Well, the ball that, yes indeed, that Parkinson bowled to Hales, I think will live long in the memory.
Indeed it will. Foxes need 163 to win, and that is not going to be easy to get on a wicket, which is helping the bowlers a little bit. We're going to have a little word with BBC Radio Leicester on their DAB frequency in particular. It feels a bit that way, because on either side of it the ball was doing so much for the bowlers and not just the spinners. And then I quickly add again, as Dave has been saying, if you get a chance to see the dismissal of Hales by Parkinson, he won't bowl many better balls than that in his career. It really was an absolute beauty. But also towards the end, it was doing a little bit when the seamers took the pace off the ball. So Nottinghamshire will learn from that. Zach Chappell, though, coming in for Jake Ball is maybe a plus for Leicestershire in that Zach, well, he's not as experienced as Ball, and he likes to bang it in, and he's going to have to bowl sensibly, bowl beautifully in the red ball game here, and he knows this ground, of course, but he'll be keen, and Leicestershire will need to take advantage of any short balls that he bowls. But for me, it's probably about 55-45 in favour of the Outlaws, but I think Leicestershire, again, such a star-studded lineup, would have probably settled for that at the start of the innings. Maybe not after 42 for 3 after the power play, but certainly at the start of the innings.
Richard, thank you very, very much indeed. We'll join Richard for the second innings, the Leicestershire innings, as they chased out on 100 and
But that means they're now on 9 points. Yeah, and that'll do their run rate. Players on song, there'll be something to play for. Yeah. Well, if you win this now, you'll finish top whatever way. So you won't have to. Actually, I'm sure they're aware of that.
Yes, indeed. Sorry about that, chaps. Just went to put the kettle on. Absolutely. Yeah, it was a really curious affair, Strings, because Leicestershire opened with the spinners, Callum Parkinson in particular, and they bowled beautifully during the Notts power play. They got a little bit of turn. They prepared a wicket which does a little bit for both the spinners and the seamers. You might as well in the circumstances. And at 42 for 3, when Callum Parkinson bowled the England international Alex Hales with one of the best balls he'll bowl in his career, I would suggest. Hales playing defensively, just got the ball that just turned past his outside edge and clipped the top of off stump. The left arm spinner's perfect delivery. At that stage, the Foxes must have been thinking, well, we can restrict them to around about 140 here, but then there was a partnership of over 102 to be precise between Tom Moores and Ben Duckett, who played quite beautifully over those 12 overs to rest it back in Nottinghamshire's favour. But 144 then became 144 for 4 when Davis picked up the wicket of Tom Moore slightly fortuitously. It was a wonderful catch by D to Klein deep on the deep backward square boundary, leaping above his head, taking it two-handed. Would certainly have gone for 6 had the South African not clung on. Dan Christian then went first for Gavin Griffiths, as he did the other night against Derbyshire in that disappointing defeat. Bowled beautifully, took the pace off the ball, got a little bit of seam movement, and from overs 16 to 19, Nottinghamshire only scored 8 runs in those overs and lost 3 wickets. So the Foxes bowlers dragged it right back. They got 11 off the last over from Will Davis, although the wicket of Mullaney did fall. But 162 for 7. Is it par? Is it slightly above par? The Foxes have got a good chance, and I think against a Notts lineup like this, you'd take that at the halfway stage every time. I would think he'd be saying something like that. We've already had the news that Durham, who were one place above Leicester in the table on the same number of points, have won their game most unexpectedly against Lancashire, and won it at a canter as well, which will have done their net run rate a power of good. It just confirms that the Foxes really do have to win this game, and then probably on Sunday against Lancashire as well. So yeah, this is the season now, really. If it's going to continue until Sunday for another 48 hours, then they have got to get these runs. I will. No COVID. No, nothing. It's a paleo protein bar with just purely fruit, cold sort of crushed fruits. Welcome back to the Fisher County ground, now bathed in shadow, the sun setting over there to my right. Foxes batsmen preparing for, well, their biggest innings of the season in many respects. Nottinghamshire Outlaws are out there. They'll have heard the news that Lancashire have been, well, thrashed by Durham earlier this afternoon. That match has just completed. So if Nottinghamshire win this game, they will finish on top of the North Group, and they will have a home quarter final. So plenty on this for Nottinghamshire, that is for sure. They will want to play on a wicket which they're used to, a pitch that they're used to, a type of pitch that they're used to, and that's what Trent Bridge can offer them. Out come the Foxes openers, Gareth Delaney, the taller of the two men, Nick Welsh. In just his third game for the Foxes, batted very well here 2 days ago in scoring 32. He disappointed to get out when he did. The point Paul Nixon was making is that you have to go on really and make 32 into a half century. There's a 40 or a 50 even, and Leicestershire would have won that game with some ease. As it is, they went down by 4 runs. So Ahmed Wasim is going to open the bowling for the Outlaws from the Bennett end, and he is going to be bowling to Nick Welch. Looks around him, his men out are at square leg and long on. Left armour comes in and bowls to Welsh, who goes back and cuts pleasantly, but only as far as the man at short third, Matt Carter, familiarly distinctive figure, a tallest man on the Nottinghamshire side, even taller than Hales, I would suggest. In goes Wazim again, and bowls, driven pleasantly by Welsh, but a good diving stop. He could be run out here. He went a long way down the wicket, but he's managed to get back. He must have gone certainly halfway down the pitch, was sent back by Delaney, didn't respond to his call at all. I think had Delaney gone straight away, he might have made his ground, but very good feelings. That Christian?
Chris Nash. Chris Nash, yeah.
Belying his 37 years.
Yeah.
So 2 dot balls and almost a run out. In goes Wazim, bowls and forced off the back foot, but just past the bowler, who got his left hand to it, deflected it down towards mid-off, slowed his progress.
In fact, I've sold you a dummy. It is Dan Christian he's got his sleeves down. He, doesn't usually. You can normally see the black wristband and everything.
Not that Chris Nash wouldn't have stopped it, but
and also Chris
right.
Nash is fielding just in front of us here.
I'm pleased to be. I just thought that muscular build.
Yeah.
Those huge forearms. In goes Wazim and bowls, makes room and flogs really Delaney out on the bounce. Too long gone. Cleared his left leg away and just clumped it away down to long on. Nothing textbook really about it, but he got plenty of it. Not quite off the middle.
Interesting field placing of it, a long on the first over. They must have had a little bit of a look at these two.
Yeah. Well, they remember Delaney from last time. In goes Wazim and bowls to Welsh, who thick inside part of the bat squirts it out through mid-wicket. In from the boundary, chases Ben Duckett, so it is going to be just the one. They won't have seen much of Welsh, of course, but they had a good look at Delaney last time out. Yeah, and word will get round, won't it?
Yeah.
I'm sure the coaching staff will have had a look at 1 or 2. He's been quite successful. A couple of good half-centuries to his name, Gareth Delaney, so worth having a look where he's hitting areas out, where he likes to hit it. Does like to hit straight, which is good from a young batsman, but
I wonder what's gone off here, Rich. The 2 umpires have got together, and this is a fairly lengthy chat about something.
Said, I don't know. Nick Cook had a long chat to umpire Pollard, talking to umpire Mullaney at the moment. Now lots of what's going on here, sort of. And a signal to the scorers were
Stephen Mullaney.
2 men inside. No, they didn't, because 2 men were out.
Yeah, but maybe Mullaney
had he retreated out?
Yeah, well, perhaps he just hadn't walked back inside the disc. I'm only going on the body language, Rich, and maybe Mullaney just hadn't walked back inside the discs in time. Batters can choose which end
you want to be. We can hear Nick Cook talking, so
now Dan Christian's getting involved. But from the hand signals, I just wonder if it might not be that, but I just wonder if Stephen Mullaney, because the players do, don't they? When they're fielding on the 30-yard discs, they sort of start off outside and then walk in with the bowler, and just maybe Stephen Mullaney hadn't walked in. It might just be Mullaney who's the shop steward at the moment. Who
it does go to quite a straight line, the circle there, doesn't it? And the umpire Pollard is just outside it, but umpire Cook is showing Dan Christian and Wazim the rules, I think. I'm waiting for see if there's a change to the scoreboard, because would it not be a no ball?
I think it is. I think it's a free hit. I think that's been signalled, but then they had another bit of a conflab and decided that the batting
electronic
side,
scoreboard hasn't changed yet, but umpire Cook is now on the radio to the scorers, so all will become clear, hopefully, shortly, when the electronic scoreboard, which is controlled in the scoreboard,
now it's signalling no ball,
changes. So no ball for an extra man outside the circle. In goes, we think, in goes Wazim, and it wasn't a free hit then, because it was defended by Gareth Delaney out into the offside, and nothing has changed on the scoreboard, and now I'm confused. I really am.
No, you've got this, Rich. You've got this. This is your department.
Umpire Cook is now talking to the scorers again, and there is complete confusion out there at the moment. All sorts of hand signals being made by umpire Cook as he talks to the scorers. And nobody seems, with the exception of Nick Cook, quite sure what is going on out there.
Well, It might be that Paul Pollard started all this, the square leg umpire. Maybe it was him that sort of signalled it to Nick Cook. I think it was, in fact. And now Nick Cook's been left to sort it all out. I don't know. I really don't know. You keep looking at me, but I don't know.
In goes William, a couple of steps down the wicket, forced out into the offside by Delaney, but only as far as Dan Christian. And the scoreboard is as confused as the rest. Well, it's gone up to 8 without loss from 3. 5 penalty runs have been awarded to Leicestershire. The scoreboard has now changed. 5 penalty runs were awarded to Leicestershire in that over. Is that
I don't know.
The extra man in the circle? Because that's what the offence was, we think. Mulaney had crept out of the circle. So there were 3 men out of the circle at the moment of delivery. And that would seem to have triggered 5 penalty runs for the Foxes.
Well, is it 5 penalty runs and a no ball?
Well, it wasn't a no ball.
He was signalling no ball, I'm sure he was.
But a no ball didn't go on. A no ball wasn't added to the score.
I tell you what,
5 penalty runs were added.
I'm going to leave this with you, and I'm going to watch Samit Patel, something I'm more familiar with. Played his 100th consecutive game last night, so here we go. Start of the next little run, and it begins with a boundary off his bowling. He just tossed it up there. I think the breeze has picked up a little bit as he moved in. Could see his flannels billowing a little bit, but it's swept away nicely by Welsh, who gets a boundary. I'm sure we'll get some notification from the Leicestershire media department any second now, Rich, so you'll be able to inform the listeners as Patel comes in. And this time it's just held back, I fancy, a little by Samit Patel, just slightly slower, and Welsh could only help it into the offside, and there's no run. So not starting
I've requested clarification, but that I'm pretty sure is what has happened.
Spin at both ends. Patel bowls a reverse sweep, this time by Welsh, but can't beat the field. Notts have got 4 in a row on the offside. Zach Chappell down below us at long off. It's one of the 2 fielders outside the ring, and is bowled in behind his legs. Welsh goes down on one knee, trying to hit it away into the open spaces on the leg side, and he's been bowled behind his legs by Samit Patel. And although you've got a burning desire to get on with things, especially in the power play overs, the mayhem and confusion at the start there certainly didn't help either side. But Nick Welsh might just have had a moment or two to just sort of assess Samit Patel and just work it away and get the board going, play himself in, but he's gone for a big shot, he's taken a risk, and he's paid the price.
I think one of Paul Nixon and the coaching staff's big problems about the defeat to Derbyshire last time out, and in previous games as well, was the number of dot balls that Leicestershire have conceded, if that's the right word, in their batting innings. There were 42 of them against Derbyshire, which is 7 overs out of 20 overs, dot balls. And hence he's been stressing the importance to the openers of keeping the scoreboard moving, not too many dot balls in the power play. And young Welsh paid the price of trying to get on with it.
New man is Aaron Lilly.
Oh, my goodness, right.
A good time of things at Trent Bridge last year in that shortened game, 11 overs aside or whatever it was, and Lilly's away first ball, punching this to long off. And in comes the throw. Well, all's well that ends well for Leicestershire, but Lilly turned and set off and was halfway down for his second, whereas partner Delaney wasn't interested, but he was able to get back. What news do you have? What is the reports from on high?
The 5 penalty runs were awarded because a Notts player made, quote, a deliberate attempt to distract the striker.
13 for 1 is Samit Patel in and bowls, and nice looking push into the offside. It's picked up by Christian. I don't think he had it cleanly in his fingers. You can pick a ball up but just not have it right in your hand, able to throw it, and I think that was the occasion there. End of the over. It's a successful one for Samit Patel with the wicket. 14 for 1 after 2 overs. The Foxes earlier not scored 162 for 7.
Well, that might be something new indeed. I haven't come across any incidents of that.
No.
Certainly not in any games in which I've been commentating, but not elsewhere either.
I don't think I've ever seen an umpire produce sheets out of his pocket and start, look, this is where it says it. Yeah.
Was it Mulaney? It seemed to be. Wasim is in from the pavilion end and he's struck back a huge blow over his head onto the roof of the Turner Indoor Centre. It bounces back down, but goodness me, Gareth Delaney just stood and delivered there. He tossed it up. Wasim and Delaney needed no second invitation. Hit it as straight as an arrow back over his head, high onto the roof of the stand.
If Notts win this game, and I know that's a long way off at the moment, they win the group, because Durham have defeated Lancashire by 74 runs, Lancashire 83 all out. Quite extraordinary, that much vaunted batting unit.
Wasim in again and waiting for it, cut away by Gareth Delaney, and it's Carter who's going in pursuit. He should pull it back. Oh, goodness me, he almost made a Horlicks of it. He did manage to drag it back in the end. He didn't really seem to be gaining on it for quite a long time. Delaney picks up 3 in the end. Fox is 23 for 1. It is all happening out there.
Not starting spin, spin, spin first 3 overs. It's cricket, but not as we used to know it.
Wasim in again. This time Lilly just dabs it down only as far as Carter, who's at that short third man position. Here's off the mark off his first ball. So 11 off 7 for Gareth Delaney, 2 off 2 for Lilly, 24 for 1. Leicestershire. Wasim is in. Bowl, thick inside edge, just past leg stump. A good diving, tumbling stop, but not quite a full stop by Chris Nash. Just deflected the ball away to his right, but he did save probably 3 runs. It would have run away down the slope, down towards fine leg for 4. So just a single to Delaney. Lilly this time gets a delivery from Wasim that he tries to drive out into the offside. It's a bit too straight for that. Ends up just guiding it almost out into the covers. Single taken. Well, somebody must have spoken out of turn. I can only assume that is the effort to distract is saying something. In goes Wasim and bowls. Couple of steps down. The wicket should be caught by Carter. Is Delaney outside edge. Sliced it in the air. Straight down Carter's throat. A simple catch. And they still look a bit nonplussed out there, Notts, don't they? As if they can't quite understand what had happened previously. However, what we can definitely say has happened is that they have picked up their second wicket. Gareth Delaney, having struck that huge 6 off the very first ball of Wasim's over, perishes to the last ball caught by Carter.
Yes, the 2 umpires together. There's a lot of pointing and doing. Paul Pollard.
Well, he must have initiated it, as you say.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was Pollard who.
Well, he called Nick Cook over, didn't he?
Yeah.
And
said that.
Then Stephen Mulaney just seemed to be, having more than just a gentle little chat with Paul Pollard. There was I'm not going to say there was any dissent, because there wasn't. He was probably just as confused as everybody else. But Stephen Mulaney, the arm gestures were. To suggest a bit of a shrug. Well, it'll all come out in the wash, no doubt. The new man out there in the middle is Ackerman.
Ackerman.
Yeah. Just quickly, it is the end of the over, by the way. The results today: wins for Surrey, Kent and Sussex in the South Group, and Durham have defeated Lancashire in the North Group, a game that started at 4 o'clock. Here's Samit Patel to start the 4th over, bowling to Lilly, who blocks this one. 26 for 2, the Foxes. Notts lost 3 wickets in the power play. Foxes have already lost a couple. There's a push and a run from Aaron Lilly. Means Ackerman's down to the business end. He'll take guard, and that'll take a moment or two. Lilly's gone on to 3. The other games then in the Central Group: Northants 140 for 9, Somerset 19 without loss after 2. Glamorgan 45 for 1 after 5 overs, and Birmingham 45 without loss after 5 against Worcestershire. Next one hit back to Patel, fields off his own bowling. Games all starting at different times and what have you, but by the end of the evening the tables will be worth a scan on the BBC Sport website as Patel bowls, and he struck Ackerman on the pad. There was a strangled appeal. They'll go through for, to say, 1 leg by, but there's no signal from Paul Pollard, so obviously a little bit of bat involved, and Ackerman is away, his first run.
Well, Wisden are going to want to know the details of that.
Well, you can tell him, Rich, you're all over it, as Patel bowls an attempted reverse by Lilly, and don't know if he got anything on it at all, or almost trapped it under his boot, but Tom Moores had to pick the ball up almost at the side of the stumps. Samit Patel doing a good job here. Last ball of the over was a full toss, but he fields off his own bowling nicely, Patel, and he's through 2 overs, 1 for 8 here, and the Foxes 28 for 2 like Notts earlier on. They're just struggling to get any early momentum in the innings. 28 for 2. We've had 2 overs from Imad Wasim, 1 for 15, 2 overs from Samit Patel, 1 for 8, and now we're going to switch things up a little bit with some Zach Chappell from the Bennett end.
There can't be many such penalties that have been imposed in the past, because it dates only back as far as 2017, when there was a change to the laws of cricket. I think
I've just been sent something. Hang on, I'll read it in a second. If you have a look at Zach Chappell.
Right, just 2 from that Patel over then. Chappell down the slope from the Bennett end, bowls to Colin Ackerman wide down the leg side, and it didn't get anything on it, Ackerman.
Knots have tweeted 5 penalty runs have been awarded as Stephen Mullaney was adjudged to have simulated an attempt to slide and grab the ball.
How can that be distracting the striker, though?
Well, making him think he'd got the ball when he hadn't.
Yeah, but he played the shot. In goes Chappell and bowls and turned off the hip. Beautiful piece of timing by Ackerman, and that's probably... Oh, Duckett does brilliantly, dives away to his right to make the stop. Had to make a lot of ground there, and then a very good throw as well. So excellent work down there on the wide long leg / deep backward square boundary by Duckett. Saves 2 runs. Ackerman picks up a couple, moves on to 3, 31 for 2.
I do recall either this winter or the winter before that something was brought in about simulation, not allowed to do it.
In goes Chappell, bowls straight this time and full. Ackerman almost replicating the sort of helicopter type flourish, but without quite the same flourish as played with Tom Moores. Manages to jam the ball back down the pitch to his former teammate, and there is no run. Yeah, he did sort of slide and make as though, but did he actually... He didn't simulate a throw as such. In goes Chappell and bowls. Ackerman slashes it out into the offside. It was slightly short from Chappell, and a horizontal bat from Ackerman. He tried to muscle it away between extra cover and mid-off. Didn't get it past mid-off. Has to pick up just a single.
Yeah, thanks to everybody that's just sort of cottoned on to what Notts had tweeted. It's a little bit fast and furious here, but yeah, that seems to be what it is. Many thanks to everybody. But aside it all, Jim Metcalf, amidst the chaos, can I just say that Samit is bowling absolutely beautifully? You can, Jim.
Yes,
thank you.
We can concentrate on cricket now instead of, hopefully, deliberate attempts to distract the striker. Well, that's a first for me. Know a little bit more about it next time. In goes Zach Chappell and bowls to Aaron Lilly. Looks to tuck him away off the legs. I don't think he got anything on it. Came off the pad, yes. Umpire Cook signals accordingly. It's picked up by Moores, running across to square leg from behind the stumps. Single taken.
I think if you were the man I know you to be, you'd have already have found it on the live stream and gone back and had another look.
Yeah, well, the replays, I don't think it's actually put it up amongst the replays.
No,
it's as confused as...
Well, it might not be on if
we were. No, because it was just a sort of relatively normal event. In goes Chappell and Bowl, clipped away on the leg side. This time Duckett's going to get nowhere near. It was short, it was up onto the hip. There is no long leg, and Ackerman was not going to miss out. Poor delivery from Chappell, especially with the field that he has at the moment, and this was the risk from Nottinghamshire's point of view.
Too much of a link to read right now, Andrew, but thanks very much. He sent a link to an article about why the new fake fielding law is relevant, it's called. Thanks, Andrew. There's clearly plenty to read up on this, but we've not come across it before.
Chappell is in again. It's onto leg stump, this time not quite as short, so Ackerman can only turn it round the corner, and Nash, moving across from short fine leg to short long leg, makes the stop. End of the over. The 5th over of Leicestershire's innings. 38 for 2 is the score. At this stage, Nottinghamshire 35 for 2. Yeah. So 10 off the over, but the 2 wickets the Foxes, this is a key partnership, the 2 wickets the Foxes have lost, but they don't have the batting depth that Nottinghamshire have. These two need to do what Moores and Duckett did for Nottinghamshire, one fields.
Yeah, the 4 overs of spin didn't give an awful lot away, but Zach Chappell going for 10. And it will just help, I'm sure, Dan Christian to utilise all 3 of his spinners to the full, and also Stephen Mullaney taking pace off the ball. Imad Wasim is going to come on for a 3rd over, 3 out of the initial 6. He's 2 overs 1 for 15. The men out: Delaney for 12 and Welsh for 6. Wasim and Patel with the wickets. Here is Imad Wasim. Bowls. This one's clipped away on the leg side. That's a beautiful shot. Lovely clean pickup for 6 runs by Ackerman. What a way to start the over. Lifts it high over mid-wicket. And the Foxes are up to 44 for 2 in the 6th over. At the end of the 6th, Notts were 42 for 3. So already Leicestershire are ahead.
Ackerman in the mood, it seems. Just 150 in the competition so far, that against Yorkshire here.
There's Wasim in again. The Welsh-born spinner has been helped away again for 4 more. He took the aerial route there. Ackerman wasn't out of the middle, but clearly got a lot of bat on it. Darren says, Dave, it wouldn't surprise me if these umpires are invited to join the Sage Committee after this performance. Well, we'll not go there, Darren, but nice of you to be with us this evening. 48 for 2.
There's just a whiff of the top edge about that, and
there was, yeah,
from Ackerman, but he got enough of it.
Yes, Wasim in again, bowls, and he's gone for a vigorous leg side pull to a ball that was pushed through a little bit by Imad Wasim. Clearly,
seems to be getting the turn that Parkinson got, but he's bowling a bit flatter.
Bowls, and this one's just paddled away, and it will go away for 4 more, beating the dive of Chris Nash. 3rd boundary of the over. Just a final thing on it for now. I mean, the umpires are out there to uphold the regulations, and if there was an infringement, then absolutely right to penalise Notts. Suspect we might hear a little more about it afterwards, though. 52 for 2, the 50 up. It's the power play overs coming to an end, and it's going to be 4 more. Might be a leg bye. It's gone down the leg side, and it is 4 leg byes. Umpire Pollard just raising his knee and tapping it in the direction of the scorers. This is a really, really important over for the Foxes. 16 from it, and still a ball to come.
18. 6-4.4.
Oh, it's a 6. Yep. It's a good job on that. Next ball is push and run. The only thing wrong with that push and run is that only one of them were running. That was Ackerman. Lily sent him back. So the over does come to an end. 56 for 2, so 18 from it. Now Notts can send 3 more fielders outside the ring to protect the ropes, but they are going to need to break this partnership, so they have got to apply a little bit of pressure somewhere along the line. It's going to be another over of spin as Matt Carter prepares to come on for the first time, bowl the 7th over.
Well, Lilly ran out Ackerman up at Durham, called him for a really risky run, and Ackerman just sort of kept running to the pavilion without running back, but can't afford to do that on this occasion. They've made a good start to the chase, the Foxes. Remember, they need 163 to beat the Outlaws. Carter is going to come around the wicket, and he's got everybody out on the leg side, with the exception of Nash at short fine leg. In he goes and bowls to Lilly, who clips it hard down into the ground on the onside, but the tall Carter just reaches out and just plucked it out of the air. That almost felt like mid-wicket. Down the pitch goes Lilly, lofts it high into the air, and it's gone all the way. You heard the sound of ball on Turner Indoor Centre. Almost. Fine hit from Aaron Lilly. Dangerous partnership for the Outlaws as Dave goes to update BBC Radio Nottingham. Carter is in. Again, drops a little bit short and flatter this time onto the leg side. Turned by Lilly. Out to deep backward square. Single taken. Lilly on to 10 off. Sorry, I beg your pardon. On to 11 off 11. Ackerman has 23 off 13. An evening breeze finally starts to stir the trees as Carter goes in, drops short, pulled by Ackerman, but only as far as deep mid-wicket. Duckett gets his throwaway on the bounce, 2 more, single taken, 64 for 2. Foxes at the moment in control. In goes Carter, a couple of steps down the wicket by Lilly, then defends the ball out into the offside. Christian picks it up and then just tosses it back to Carter as Lilly quickly retreats back into his ground. Carter is in again, just outside off stump, chopped down towards short third man, and they're going to pick up an extra run here, the Foxes, because the throw that came in from, I think it was him, could have been Patel, the two quite close together, missed Moores, and with the fielders on the leg side out on the boundary coming chasing in, there was time for the Leicestershire batsmen, well, to complete a second run. Despite both sprinting the first, they had time to get back and get back up the other end. 66 for 2, 10 off the over from Carter. At the moment, spin not really doing it for Nottinghamshire. Are they going to go to a little bit of seam? They are at last. Dan Christian is going to bring himself back on. First ball, duck, a golden duck when he batted for Christian. Can he make up for it with the ball? In he comes to the right-handed Ackerman, outside off stump, crashed away, square driven by Ackerman, and not picked up cleanly out there on the in the end, the backward point boundary by the time the fielder got to it. So 2 taken by Ackerman. He moves on to 26, 68 for 2. The Foxes seemingly intent on not making the same mistake that they made against Derbyshire when chasing. Left it too late. Not this time, they're saying. In goes Christian and bowls a slower ball hit in the air, but it's going to drop short of mid-wicket. Gets to it on the second bounce. Duckett. Good slower ball from Christian. Tried to pull it away. Slightly top-edged it. Ackerman bounced a long way short, though, of Duckett, a good 5 yards or so, as he came chasing in from the deep mid-wicket boundary. The sun setting over the top of the meet. Glorious sight behind the trees over there. Floodlights starting to take full effect, therefore. Players casting 6 shadows as in goes Christian and bowls, drops it short deliberately into the wicket, but a beautiful piece of placement by Aaron Lilly. Sees the ball cross the ropes at mid-wicket, bisected the 2 fielders Slower balls are okay, but if they're drop short, the batsman certainly has time to adjust, and Lilly did so on that occasion. Picks up 4, moves on to 17 off 14 balls, chasing along the Foxes here. They're on 73 for 2, 89 needed now. 190 needed, 163 the target. I should have been able to work that one out. Christian has a word with Mullaney. There's a few hands on hips out there. The Outlaws side, they look a bit nonplussed by this. In goes Christian, bowls, drops short outside off stump. It wasn't a slower ball, but Lilly waited for it and then just chopped it down towards wide third man. Samit Patel, the fielder, single taken. 74 for 2. Run rate at the moment is 9.7. Their required rate is 7.2. Christian tosses the ball from hand to hand. Not so far unbeaten in the T20 competition this season. Christian runs away from us. Bowls short and straightish this time, and Ackerman just bobs at the knees and lets it go past. Front of his chin, almost just outside off stump, taken by Moores. Christian has a word with umpire Pollard, but just at the moment, not a very happy side. Notts looking out there. 74 for 2. Mullaney hands the ball to Dan Christian, who turns, comes in to finish his over from the pavilion end. Bowls short and just waiting for it. Ackerman dabs it down towards fine third man, who gets to the ball, running across to his left in front of the Turner indoor centre. Single taken by Ackerman. He keeps the strike, moves on to 27 from 17, 74 for 2, so 8 runs from the over. Remember the rate required, now down to 7.3, 75 for 2, I beg your pardon, 9 from the over. The electronic scoreboard a little bit slow on that occasion.
88 then required from 12 overs. Dan Christian's first over going for 9. Only taken 1 wicket so far in the competition. He has bowled 1 or 2 very tidy spells, but just the 1 wicket. He's gone for 160 runs so far, so does need to pick up a wicket or 2, bring that average down. Looks as if Zach Chappell is going to bowl the 9th over. His earlier one went for 10 runs. They're bowling to the Foxes skipper Ackerman, who's leading from the front here, 28 from 18.
Yeah, looks very determined today, Ackerman.
Floodlights burning brightly. Here comes Chappell from the Bennett end. Tall athletic figure, bowls, chopped away on the offside. Should only be a single. Out there is Joe Clark, bounces the ball into Tom Moores, and they take just 1. Ackerman on to 29, brings Aaron Lilly back onto strike on 18. Nick Welsh out in the 2nd over, bowled by Samit Patel for 6, and then Gareth Delaney fell in the following over, caught by Matt Carter off the bowling of Wasim for 12. But in between those 2 wickets, the major talking point, I guess, and Notts were docked 5 runs, penalised 5 runs for an act of simulation in the field. Chappell's bowls down the leg side, helped on its way for 4 runs. That was pretty much a help yourself delivery. If he hadn't got a bat on it, it would have been a leg side wide, but Lilly wasn't going to miss out there. It just sat up, didn't it, down the leg side. Nicely played. And the Foxes up to 80 for 2. They have given Notts problems over the years, of course. That 2006 final, which was played at Trent Bridge that year, finals day. The Foxes winning it. There's Chappell into Lilly. Big hit down the ground. That's going to go all the way as well. Lovely clean ball striking from Aaron Lilly. That's worked 1 or 2 up in the media centre. Clattering into the glass, I fancy, at the far end. 86 for 2. That was a meaty blow. 6 all the way. In fact, if you could give 8, that was an 8.
There's a few gathered on Milligan Road watching from behind the bars out there, and they're enjoying this at the moment.
Over the years, there's only been 5 batsmen that have scored centuries against Notts, and 4 of them have been Leicestershire players. Brad Hodge, Jim Allenby, Greg Smith and Cameron Delport. 86 86 for 2. Here's Chappell. Lily's on 26. Bowls to Mill down the leg side, slower ball. Tom Moores has underarmed it towards the stumps. Surely that's a leg side wide, umpire Cook. Did he get anything on it? Not with the naked eye, he didn't, but Nick Cook is about 80 yards closer to the action, maybe more than I am.
Just a flick to the leg, the thigh pad of Lily there. Got away with it, Chappell.
Took pace off the ball, and as a consequence he dragged it down the leg side. He's in again and bowls, and that would have gone down the leg side had Lily not got a bat on it. Just a single this time. Over going the way of the Foxes at the moment. 12 from it with 1 ball left. 87 for 2 in pursuit of a victory target of 162 for 7. 3 wickets to Will Davis earlier in the evening. Notts win, they win the group. They're still in a good position to win the group, even if they lose this one, but it's all mathematically done and dusted, as this is dropped on the leg side by Ackerman for a single. 88 for 2. The other thing obviously they're fiercely proud of is the unbeaten record. No side since Surrey in 2004 has gone through the group undefeated, and that year 2004 was, remember, when they only played, they were only in groups of 6 and they only played 5 games. So it's incredible to think that since then there's not one single side that has gone through the qualifying competition undefeated, and Notts can do that with a win tonight and then in their last game against Durham on Sunday. But the Foxes right now, you would say, are very much in the box seat.
22 off Chappell's 2 overs, 13 off that one. We may or may not see him again. I would suggest not in the immediate future. Anyway, Stephen Mullaney is going to come on from the pavilion end. Moores,
I guess it depends on the success of others, Rich.
Yeah, I think I'd be very surprised if we saw him in the next couple of overs. Anyway, in goes Mullaney and bowls. Gentle delivery, little bit of shape as he bowls to Ackerman. Straightish and pushed out towards Long Gone, who meets it on the edge of the circle, coming running in.
It was man of the match here one year in a televised game. I think it was 2012, and I'm fairly sure Leicestershire win it in 2011, and the opening game to the 2012 campaign was a live televised game here, and Mullaney just ran through the Foxes that evening, 4 for spit, as they say, and took the man of the match award, and the defending champions were dethroned.
In goes Mullaney, bowls, fullish delivery just outside of some, waits for it Lily and guides it out into the offside, content with a single. 90 for 2. Batsman almost level pegging. Lily has 30 off 20, Ackerman 31 off 21. Ackerman back on strike as Mullaney is in and bowls outside off stump, cut hard down into the ground, but only as far as Samit Patel at backward point on the edge of the circle.
LBW appeals are going to be interesting from this end, aren't they, with Mullaney bowling and umpire Pollard standing.
Mullaney is in again, bowls a little bit short of the ideal length, and Ackerman back in his stumps can turn it into the onside and in fact pick up 2 because he deliberately played it gently enough for Long Gone to have a long chase in from that position out down to almost to the edge of the circle. He ran well with Lily. They both went for 2 from the start and made it pretty comfortably. Mullaney in again, bowls and looking to drive, hits it hard down into the ground there. Ackerman wasn't the straightest of bats, slightly cross-batted, and he examines the bottom of the bat, makes sure it isn't cracked. It was fielded by the bowler in his follow-through. 92 for 2. To win 71. Mullaney is in, just holds that one back and reaching forward. Ackerman guides it out towards backward point. Carter, I think it is, comes in and fields, and it is just a single on that occasion. So end of the over, 93 for 2. A better over in terms of economy rates from the Nottinghamshire Outlaws. Just the 5 runs from it from Stephen Mullane to get a little bit of control back on the scoreboard. But the Foxes, after 10 overs, are 93 for 2 at this stage. Nottinghamshire was 69 for 3.
Yeah, 70 required from 60 balls by Leicestershire Foxes. Lily has 30, Ackerman has 34. Harry Dearden doing next, and George Rhodes, Lewis Hill, Callum Parkinson, Dieter Klein. And the Foxes will dearly hope they don't get down as far as Will Davis and Gavin Griffiths. They'll want this pair to take them a long way down the road towards the win. Going to be Captain Christian to bowl the 11th over from the Bennett end. Christian's first over went for 9. So captain to captain. Australian to bowl to South African. It's getting a little chilly now at the Fisher County ground. Some lovely skies though away to our right. Lots of pinks and oranges there as the sun sets. Here comes Christian in down the leg side. Well taken by Moores, but that'll have to be re-bowled. Just slipped down there by Dan Christian. Not quite got the radar locked on yet. One more to the total and another ball to be bowled. There's a delivery for Leicestershire County Cricket Club. Just arrived at the Milligan Road gates, but unfortunately that means that some of those spectators have just had to move out of the way whilst they can take the delivery. Here is Christian in again. Oh, this one's even further down the leg side. There might just been a little bit of quiet blaspheming under his breath there from Dan Christian. It also didn't come out as he would have wished. So a couple of gift runs for the home side. Christian winning the toss, opting to bat first. A couple of half centuries for Notts. Here's Christian. Oh, 3 in a row. 3 in a row.
Well, the over hasn't started.
Well, it looks like a hat-trick on the board because it says WW and in a moment it will say W again. But it's not the sort of W that Notts need right now.
Little W's, not big ones.
Yes. What website is he looking for here, Dan Christian? www. Lock the radar on. Nice and full. He's bowling a full length, but he's just not quite getting the line right. Here he comes. Can he spear one in? He can, and push and run up to mid-off. So he finds his target.
Doesn't look a happy man, does he?
97 for 2.
He isn't a happy man.
I've seen these games turn around thanks to a moment of brilliance or a moment of ill fortune or good fortune, whichever way you see it. And Notts do know how to close out games, and they know how to leap all over the opposition if there is a mistake. Lily's on strike. Just needs to keep on doing what he is doing. That's well stopped by Christian. Committed to the cause. He saved some runs there. Might even have saved 4. Dropping down quickly to block that drive.
We saw it. It takes new batsmen a few balls just to adjust to the pace of the pitch. And if you're looking for runs, then that is a big problem. We've had one huge partnership of a century. This one is over 50 now. A long way. 97 for 2. Here comes Christian. In once more, bowls, and this one's hit back past him, and this one does go for 4. That's where the previous one was heading for until Dan Christian was able to cut it off, but not on this occasion. Hammered back low and very, very quickly indeed by Aaron Lilly, who is now within 1 of his skipper. Lilly has 34, Ackerman 35, and the Foxes are 110 for 2 in the 11th over in pursuit of 163. It's theirs to lose, as I say. Firm favourites here. Notts need that moment of inspiration from somebody. That was a phrase used against Derbyshire a few days ago, much too. And they did lose it, so Leicestershire supporters will not be counting any chickens.
Lessons learned maybe from that one. There's Christian in, again bowls, and this one's the aerial route, and this might be the end of Aaron Lilly, and it should be the safe hands of Alex Hales to gobble it up at long on, and it is, and Notts do get the wicket, and now Dan Christian can, you can see he's getting them all together. Come on in, fellas, let's have a little bit of a chat. Let's just have a think about the battle plan from here on in and just see if we can't work our way back into putting some pressure on the Foxes. Splendid knock from Aaron Lilly, 110 for 3 when he goes, and now there is a proper large W on the scoreboard. The over that began with 3 wides has now featured a wicket. The safe hands of Alex Hales at long on, pouching that one.
While Ackerman is there, Leicestershire will still be reasonably confident. They could have done with a few more overs of Aaron Lilly with a bat in his hand. His 34 came off 23 balls, and he was therefore striking at just about 150. Ackerman has 35 off 26, and he's been joined by Harry Dearden. Now Dearden, interesting position for him, because he finished against Derbyshire with Leicestershire didn't chase down a reasonable target there, and they had 6 wickets in hand, with Dearden finishing on 36 not out, and sort of shouldering a bit of the blame, if blame there was, for Leicestershire not getting across the line. So he will feel.
He did tweet an apology, didn't he? I saw that. Now you've mentioned it. Here's Christian then. They did cross, ball was in the air, so Ackerman on strike, and they take a single as Ackerman, the Foxes skipper, just plays it down on the offside. Scamper through. We'll add one more to the total.
He will feel he wants to redeem himself, I'm sure. There's an opportunity to do that.
It's 102 for 3. I said it was 110 for 3. It's not, it's 102 for 3.
Long held over. 8 balls so far, but a wicket. Is that going to be the key delivery?
So we've got left-handed Harry Dearden out there. It's a left-hander's game earlier on. A couple of half-centurions in the Outlaws ranks. Ben Duckett, who's just been put back into the slip cordon, and Tom Moore stood next to him. There's Christian in to bowl. Edged. Oh, and he's dropped it. Oh, that was almost the perfect captaincy by Dan Christian. Popped Ben Duckett in there at slip. It's edged by Dearden, straight to Duckett, went quickly off the toe of the bat, but at a very comfortable catchable height. It was just the pace, I think, on it that made Duckett spill it, but down it goes, and that could have been a really big moment.
Yeah, I mean, it was travelling, but not as quickly as it might have been. There was a bit of a loop there as well. Yeah, was that the key moment? Goodness me. What an extraordinary over that was. Starting with 3 wides, a wicket.
Yes, he was nearly dismissed from the 9th ball, wasn't he?
Yeah, nearly 2 wickets. And that could have been key moment. Well, let's see what happens. 102 for 3 after 11. At this stage, Nottinghamshire 74 for 3, so the Fox is still well ahead of the game as Mullaney comes in from the pavilion end and bowls to Ackerman onto his legs, hits the pad, bounces out towards square leg. I think will be signalled a leg by, is signalled a leg by umpire Pollard. 103 for 3, 60 to win from 8.5 overs.
It's not often a captain gets it absolutely spot on like that, though it was a bizarre over from Captain Christian, as he said, but just to bring somebody in as a slip for the last ball of the over, and it's edged straight to him.
Straight in the chest and out again. Mullaney is in, just swings in a little bit towards Harry Dearden, who tries to force it away drive it away on the leg side, thick inside part of the bat. The ball trickles out to Patel, who's at a short mid-wicket, a single saving mid-wicket. Mullaney with a familiar run is in and bowls and scooped, and is he going to be caught? Dearden, he is caught. The scoop has not worked today. There is no pace in the pitch for the shot. The batsman who tried to play it, Christian earlier, and now Dearden, have been caught because the ball has just looped up behind, and Moore's made good ground there to get to the ball, but he is quick and agile, and he got there, and 2 wickets in 2 overs for the Outlaws. And is the game swinging back? The pendulum certainly feels as though it is. While Ackerman is there, Leicestershire will remain confident-ish, but not with wickets falling at the other end.
I was just about to say, not so firm outsiders, but if they are going to get back in this, Stephen Mullaney will play a major role. And I didn't get the words out of my mouth before he took the wicket. He is the one who's going to mix it up, taking pace off the ball. Will be bowling slower and slower and slower, and if Leicestershire allow him to settle into that line and length, and if he's allowed to bowl his full 4 overs and get in a little bit of rhythm here, then Mullaney could really put the brakes on this innings. Well, he has got a wicket, and so far in this over he has put the brakes on.
Directing traffic now, George Rhodes was the man at the other end when Leicestershire failed to get across the line. I think he scored 30 not out. In goes Mullaney and bowls to Rhodes. A couple of steps down the wicket, tries to deflect it down to find third man. Might have got a little edge on it. It bounced short of Moore's, so we won't know. It was a dot ball, but looked to me to be a little deflection there.
Do you know, I like Tom Moore standing up to Stephen Mullaney, but had he been standing up, of course, then
if he edged it,
but also the scoop of Dearden I was referring to would have gone over his head.
Yep. Pays your money. In goes Mullaney and bowls one of those lovely little swinging deliveries, and confused slightly Rhodes as it swung from middle towards off, just ends up pushing it out towards mid wicket, where Wasim claps his hands having picked up the ball.
He's on for a wicket maiden. Now I've said that, of course, there'll be runs from this final ball, but this is certainly not over so far.
Mullaney in, bowls, and it is a wicket maiden. Well bowled, Stephen Mullaney, because he squared Rhodes up there. All the Leicestershire batsman could do was shovel it back down the pitch towards Mullaney, who's still got the air of a man who's been unfairly treated. There's something about the way he's moving, isn't there, that he's still in dudgeon, which, if not high, is high-ish. End of the over, 103 for 4 after 12, 88 for 3 at this stage, but the gap is narrowing.
Yes, that was the over that Notts needed. Samit Patel, who we haven't seen for quite some time. He's only bowled the 1 over, Samit. That was the 2nd over of the innings, and he got rid of Nick Welsh, who attempted something rather extravagant and lost his leg stump.
Now depends on Ackerman.
103 for 4. Here's Patel bowling to him, and Ackerman can't get a run here. Playing well away from his body, just runs it out onto the offside. It's just a little bit of a feel out there that not sense they're still in this, and again they won't get a run. They'd gone quiet, hadn't they? But probably here on the effects microphone, they're all geeing each other up now. They're full of it, and Dan Christian, with those 2 wickets, obviously has had the chance to get them together. A little bit of a huddle as they've had a drink and sanitised their hands, and it's just got them motivated again. There's a single, chopped to backward point.
Again, there was confusion between the 2 batsmen.
A little bit of shall we, shan't we?
Ackerman looking for Rhodes to call.
Notts need to keep, if they can't get Ackerman out, they need him at the non-strikers end, and need to keep putting pressure on the other players, those that are new to the crease, that are unfamiliar with the conditions this evening right now. Obviously they've all played here many times before, but it's never easy coming to the crease as Rhodes gets off the mark with something out of his particular draw marked innovative. Goes down and just scoops it away behind Moore's.
44 balls remaining, 58 to win.
Next ball wide of the off stump, and that will bring a boundary. It away firmly on the offside, and it will go for 4. That's not what was needed on this particular occasion. A little bit of width offered from Samit Patel, and Ackerman, it was a low risk shot really from Ackerman. It was so far away from his body he could drive it into the offside,
and it was a half volley as well, really. juicy one.
You know, I'm sure he'll not be taking the aerial route because he knows so much depends on him. As Patel is in, and again a push into the offside for a single. Take the 4, take the boundary, keep the strike. That was nicely played from the Foxes captain, a better over, and Samit Patel is now 3 overs, 1 for 15, still very, very good figures, but 7 came from that one, which is just about what the Foxes require if they're going to get over the line. They need 53 now from 7 overs.
Mullaney will continue. At the moment sitting on figures of 2, 1, 5, 1. You do not often pronounce anything other than a 0 in the maidens column in T20.
No, I'm fairly sure it's the first maiden bowl by a Notts bowler this particular campaign in this competition.
Now, are we happy that Moores is standing up to the wicket, Dave?
He is. He is.
Are we happy about it, though? In goes Mullaney and bowls, and back on his stumps goes Ackerman. Turns his wrists on one as he plays it firmly. Rhodes is calling for the second, going to make his ground comfortably enough as in from long on. Loped rather than sprinted Matt Carter. When you're that tall, it's quite difficult to get the old levers churning as quickly as you'd like. It is Carter down there, isn't it?
It is, yeah. No, this is Alex Hales, I beg your pardon.
I was going to say, they're the two of...
Yeah.
Hales is the sort of specialist long gone, isn't he? Carter's at short third. They are both very tall men. Mullaney is in and bowling to Ackerman. Well bowled, straightish ball, but a little bit of swing, out swing, middle towards off, and Ackerman just stands and plays it back down the pitch to Mullaney. Dave off to update excuse me, BBC Radio Nottingham as Mullaney turns and bowls a fullish delivery, waiting for it, clipped out towards Hales by Ackerman, more firmly this time, so it will just be a single. 113 for 4 means it's around 50 to win for the Foxes. 39 balls remain though. Rhodes looks around him. 1, just a single to Rhodes from 4 balls faced. Moores now standing back, capless. In goes Mullaney, bowls, and in the air, it's chipped into the air. He's going to be caught. Rhodes is caught by Wasim and sent on his way by Mullaney, who picks up another wicket. Goodness me, what a potentially match-changing spell. What it is a match-changing spell in many respects already by Stephen Mullaney. He's now got 2 for 8 from 2.4 overs as Rhodes is the latest Foxes batsman to make his way back to the pavilion. 113 for 5 Leicestershire. Now, Notts are still, to be honest, they're still seething out there. They are still look to me like a team that's just struggling to put what happened earlier in the game behind them. 5 penalty runs for deliberate attempt to distract the striker, and I think they clearly feel that that was an injustice, but at the moment they're on their way, if it was an injustice, towards repairing it, because they've reduced Leicestershire to 113 for 5, having been not so very long ago 102 for 2. So 3 wickets have fallen and just 11 runs have been added. Mullaney in to Ackerman, the batsman having crossed. Bowls. Ackerman just waits for it, turns it down towards short third. The throw hits, but it is not out because the reasonably speedy Hill had made his ground. Good effort from Samit Patel. Quickly onto the ball, and his throw knocked out the stump, the leg stump. But Hill is one of the quicker of the Leicestershire batsmen between the wickets and had made his ground with some time to spare. Mullaney, 1 ball left, 2 for 9 from his 2.5 overs. Now all sorts of changes being made to the field. by the Outlaws for the new man, Lewis Hill. Mullaney trots in, bowls, Hill outside off stump, cuts it hard past Patel. It's going to be a long chase along the boundary for Chappell, gets to it, gets his throw away. Hill was anxious for a third, Ackerman sent him back. So 2 from the final ball of Mullaney's third over, 2 for 11 for him. Now 116 for 5 after 14. Leicestershire at this stage, Nottinghamshire 107 for 3, but they had a couple of good overs coming up, Nottinghamshire, so it is getting very close. 6 overs to go, 36 balls, 5 wickets in hand, 47 needed off 36 balls for the Foxes. But 5 wickets down. Ackerman is still there though. He's on 46 off 37, and he is going to be on strike. Dan Christian, 2 overs, 1 for 18 for Christian, who comes in from the Bennett end, bowls straight to Ackerman, worked out towards mid wicket, takes the first one quickly, but Duckett is in, and he's a very good fielder and puts in a very good flat throw to Tom Morse. So it is just a single to Ackerman. He moves on to 47. Singles, well, they keep Leicestershire in touch, but remember, they need more than singles now. 46 needed at pretty much 8 runs and over. Dave's back alongside, breathing deeply as in goes Christian. Bowling down the leg side will be signalled wide again from Dan Christian. He's given away 4 of them now, 3 in the previous over, 1 now in this. 118 for 5.
Yes, I can't afford many more of those, Mr. Christian.
35 balls still remain, 45 to win.
In the Bob Willis Trophy game here, Samet threw down the stumps and Nick Cook said not out, didn't he?
Christian in and just outside off stump, chopped hard down into the ground by Hill, but only as far as Iqbal was him at backward point, and there is no run. You have a better memory than I in that respect, Dave Bracegirdle. Nick Cook's feeling the cold out there. Temperature, in fairness, now the sun has gone down, has plummeted, hasn't it? It I would imagine now feels like sort of single figures almost.
Yeah.
It was the most lovely day, and warm with it. Not now, it ain't. In goes Christian and bowls full, looking for a leg before decision. Not going to get it from Nick Cook. In fairness, although Christian went up and yelled loudly, Moores didn't really echo the appeal, and Nick Cook telling Dan Christian, as he does with every bowler's appeal, every bowler when an appeal is turned down, why he didn't give it. Dot ball though. 1 for 20 for Christian from 2.3, 118 for 5 to win 45. Still needed. In goes Christian. Down the slope, bowls to Hill, who cuts him away off the back foot out into the offside, down towards backward point. No, and Joe Clark, who I don't think I've mentioned so far, he hasn't really been in the game in the field, but he is there and gets away a good throw. So just a single to Hill, who has 3 from 4 balls, 119 for 5. Ackerman on 47 from 38, looks around him, sees the leg side fielders retreating to the boundary, all 4 of them. Christian 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but 1 and wide, has 2 balls to go in the over then, I think. Yes, it is. In he comes, bowls to Ackerman, hit back past him, can mid off get there? No, I thought Nasr was going to get there, dived across, but he was a little bit slow getting down. Ackerman picks up 4 and picks up a half century, his second of the competition. It's come off 39 balls, and Leicestershire's captain is doing his absolute utmost to steer the Foxes home. 123 for 5.
Yeah, 39 balls, 5 fours and 1 6 for Colin Ackerman, and again he's just made sure that his side stay on target for this over.
Christian is in, bowls to him, short, up on his toes. Ackerman just dropping it out towards backwards square. Tom Moores sprints towards the ball, picks it up. Ackerman has to be content with one, but will be content with one, having picked up the previous runs off the over, and keeps the strike. 124 for 5.
That's the crucial thing. He's on 52. 39 needed from 5 overs now. Bowlers at Dan Christian's beck and call. Well, Imad Wasim has had 3, Samit Patel has had 3, Stephen Mullaney has had 3, Chappell has had 2, Christian himself has had 3, Matt Carter only 1 over. So Chappell and Carter have bowled 3 between them.
He went for 10 in that over, Carter. In the power play, in fairness, so...
Yep. It's going to be
it wasn't 7th over.
It's going to be Stephen Mullaney to bowl his final over. Here he comes to Ackerman. Just a gentle little nudge into the offside, gets down the other end. 53 to Ackerman. Foxes, I'm sure, would be happy with a runner ball single every ball in this over.
Well, they are for the first time behind in comparison terms. 126 for 5 at the end of the 15th. Nottinghamshire, 124 for 5, Leicestershire.
Stephen Mullaney once more. It's had a big impact on this game, and that's a fairly ugly looking shot in truth from Lewis Hill. It was full outside the off stump, and he went down trying to paddle it away on the leg side. Didn't look very pretty, and was certainly ineffective. Precious dot ball, but what's could do with picking up a wicket or 2 now, I fancy. Still with 5 wickets left, the Foxes can afford to play 1 or 2 big shots at the other end, as long as Ackerman stays there. Single taken this time, chopped out onto the offside. 126 for 5.
Well, they had that spell of 3 overs when they lost 3 wickets and only scored 8 runs, didn't they? Just after this one, Nottinghamshire. So you're right.
Didn't finish well, Notts. After that partnership between Moores and Duckett was broken. In comes Mullaney, bowls, and Ackerman. He's giving off the air of somebody who's totally in control, and his destiny seems to be to get the Foxes over the line here.
And he's playing as though he knows it just needs to, not just needs to see Mullaney off, but he needs to see Mullaney off, and does have scope thereafter.
And comes Mullaney, and Lewis Hill this time does get it onto the leg side, out to Hales, who has a strong throw on him, but they will come back for 2. There's a good return from Hales. Mullaney takes it over the stumps, but they were back, and Hill is on 6. Ackerman is now the top scorer in the match. At the other end, he's on 54. Gone past Duckett's 53. Moore's made 51. 129 for 5. Mullaney bowls again, chopped away once more by Lewis Hill, and an over of just steady accumulation. 6 from it, just what the Foxes need. And that is Stephen Mullaney done and dusted. 4 overs, 1 maiden, 2 for 17 for Stephen Mullaney. He's done his bit. He's kept the runs down from this end, picked up a couple of crucial wickets, but Dan Christian's got to look elsewhere now. He's going to turn to Samit Patel to bowl the 17th. 33 required from 4.
Leicestershire get across the line. How crucial are those 5 runs going to be? Maybe it won't matter. Maybe they'll get across the line with plenty of time in hand. Maybe they'll get across the line off the last ball. Maybe they won't get across the line. But if those 5 runs are really material, it'll be very interesting to hear what Notts have to say about it. Samit Patel then. 3 overs, as Dave said, 1 for 15. In he comes from the Bennett end, sees Hill coming, drops his length back. Hill pokes it back past him in the air, and for a second Dave thought it was going to be a caught and bowled. Wasn't quite close enough to Patel for him to dive across to his right to pluck it out of the air. Picks up 1.
Even 10 years ago, Samit wouldn't have got that.
In goes Patel, bowls to Ackerman, fuller this time. Ackerman waits for it and clips it out towards long on. Should be a comfortable 2 this time, because long on Hales has to run a good 10 to 15 yards to his right. So an easy 2 taken by Ackerman. Moves on to 56, and as Dave said, at the moment Leicestershire South African captain looks in control. 56 from 43 balls, 133 for 5. Patel in again, say that, and then a big swing from Ackerman. Could so easily have been bowled, got a thin inside edge, and it trickles down towards short. Fine leg between the batsman's body and the stumps. Goodness me. Heart in mouth moment for a moment. In goes Patel, bowls to Hill, who goes back and cuts him off the stumps, I think, out towards Joe Clark, who's on the point boundary. What's this hand raise signal from
I don't know.
Nick Cook? I'm never quite sure. He does it quite often. Not sure what it means. 2 to go. Whether he had 2 fingers in the air, I do not know. Ackerman back on strike to Patel, who's got something in his eye. It's sorted itself out. He looked to be holding something. He looked to be holding his finger up to his eye. He was walking towards Dan Christian then, but suddenly, whatever it was, extracted itself. In goes Patel. Bowls down the leg side, will be signalled wide. Couldn't get across. Well, he could get a little bit across Moores, but he couldn't stop it. It trickles down to short, fine leg. So, a bye is taken.
Yeah, not sure.
Odd signals being made. Bowls Summit Patel much straighter this time. Chipped out into the leg side by a Hill. Should be 2. Is going to be 2. Chappell's throw is hard, but it took a while to get there. So at the moment, the Foxes beginning to do this well. They're not taking unnecessary... Well, Ackerman's attempted whack into the leg side aside. They're not taking too many risks. Hill has 11 from 11 now, as Patel is in to him. He's bowled him. Hill was trying to clip it out into the leg side. Whether it's straightened or not, a yell of triumph from Patel. They are still, maybe just it straightened a fraction. It was fullish onto off stump, and Hill was trying to clip it onto the leg side. Patel has taken a wicket with his final delivery. He has 2 for 24 from his 4 overs. But he too has bowled out 139 for 6. That means we have 3 overs to go.
24 required.
24 needed.
Yeah, that wicket helps Notts, but the 9 runs during the course of the over certainly helped the Foxes, and 24 from 18. It should be well within their compass. Ackerman is going to be on strike, of course, at the start of the new over, the 18th. It's going to be Imad Wasim to bowl it. Wasim 3 overs, 1 for 29.
Notts were 143 for 3 after 17, but
yeah, the wheels came off after then. The new batsman is Callum Parkinson.
4 off the 18th over.
Klein, Davis and Griffiths remain in the hutch if needed. Here's Imad Wasim bowling. Saw Ackerman coming towards him, just trying to bowl with a little bit of width, but Ackerman was able to reach the ball, chop it away, gets a couple. He moves on towards 59 now, 141 for 6.
It's not been great from Wasim, has it? Really?
22 required from 17. Here's Wasim in again. Single just pushed into the gaps on the offside. 21 from 16 required. Parkinson now on strike, so Stephen Mullaney moves right in tight on the offside, but this is clipped on the leg side, and Parkinson's away. A single first ball. Ben Duckett had to come in a long way from the deep mid-wicket boundary, and he fielded that inside the circle and stopped them getting 2. That was brilliant commitment from Duckett.
Well, every single builds the pressure just a fraction.
Just doing enough there, the Foxes. 4 from the first 3 balls of this over. Here's Wasim in again, chopped into the offside. Patel will field, but they take another single. 144 for 6. The finishing line isn't too far away.
Pollard held up 2 fingers then. So that is why maybe with 2 to go it's a required thing. Maybe they have to tell people. Both umpires are doing it.
Well, I've done it in club cricket when I've gone out there with a proper umpire. They expect you to do it. Yeah, I think it is a dumb thing, driven down the ground for a single. Alex Hales fields. Just seems like Leicestershire have done just enough now. They can almost, at a canter, get over the line here. They're just milking the bowling. Imad Wasim, his final ball. Bowls and that was an old bit looking swish across the line from Ackerman. Looks at the toe end of his bat, so that over is done and dusted with. 145 for 6 from it. Imad Wasim has finished 4 overs, 1 for 35.
Suddenly it's 18 from 2, 9 and over. You're talking it down, but this is Leicestershire. Ackerman is there. If Ackerman wasn't there, if it was 2 tail-enders with respect to Callum Parkinson, Notts would now be favourites, but with Ackerman there,
we've just got to find a bowler from somewhere there. No, Wasim has bowled out.
Who would you bring him on?
Wasim has bowled out, Patel has bowled out, Mulaney has bowled out, Christian is going to bowl the 19th, and so that means either Zach Chappell, who's bowled 2 overs, none for 22, or Matt Carter, 1 over, none for 10, will have the last over.
Interesting one.
Yes.
Dan Christian needs a really good over here to build the pressure on the Foxes.
That, I think, is why he's taken this on himself. If he can, just keep them to 7 or 8.
18 from 12 needed as Christian comes down the slope and bowls to Callum Parkinson, who drives him away for 4. Lovely shot from Callum Parkinson. There wasn't too much wrong with the delivery. It was pretty much off stump. If anything, probably it was just slightly too full. Swung in towards him, and a really fine shot, controlled shot by the young left arm spinner. Increasingly referred to him as an all-rounder. He can bat, Callum Parkinson, and he showed it there. 4 from the first ball. That makes a big old difference. Takes the pressure right off. Christian is in again. 2. Parkinson hits him in the air. Is he going to be caught? No, he can't quite get there. Duckett sprinting across to his right, and that wasn't such a good shot. He was trying to lift it away on the leg side. Hit high up in the bat and just looped towards mid-on. Duckett couldn't quite get there though, so a single taken. 5 from the first 2. Ackerman is on strike. 13 from 10 with 4 wickets in hand. Christian into Ackerman, who pulls him away, but only as far as deep mid-wicket. Will be just 1 as a consequence. Duckett out there, gets away a good throw, single taken. 12 off 9. Parkinson back on strike. 6 from the first 3.
A Friday evening thriller for your entertainment. This will set everybody up nicely for the weekend, but which way is it going to tilt? We'll find out in, I guess, 3 or 4 minutes' time.
Had a couple of last ball finishes already at Grace Road. Ben Mike hit the last ball of the innings to the boundary to beat Yorkshire. In goes Christian, bowls to Parkinson, a bouncer. Parkinson plays it well in the end. He didn't go for a full-blooded hook. He paddled it away down into the leg side. Chappell got to it quickly. A single is taken. 11 now needed off 8 balls. Ackerman is on strike. They couldn't hit a 4 off the last ball to beat Derbyshire. They'll be hoping they don't need a 4 off the last ball.
Well, it's going to be a huge ask of either Zach Chappell or Matt Carter. Not seen either of them loosening up, to be fair.
Christian in to Ackerman, full, dug out by Ackerman, firmly out towards long gone. It will be just the 1 though, as in from the boundary came Hales, got his throw away quickly. Christian let it run through 2 more, single taken. Means that 10 are needed from the last 7 balls.
Zach Chappell's just whirled his arm over.
No pressure, Zach. Against your former club.
So 1 ball left in this over. Can Christian do his side a favour here?
In he comes, bowls to Parkinson, who makes a bit of room, hits it out into the offside, over. The fielder's going to run away for 4 to the extra cover boundary. Just for a moment or two, it looked like Samit Patel might be in the game at extra cover on the edge of the circle, but it was well over his head in the end, 3 or 4 feet, and though he turned, this quick outfield meant the ball ran away for him for 4. So an excellent over for the Foxes. 12 from it.
Yep.
12 from it, and that really should mean that they shouldn't make any mistakes from here, and they need 6 to win in the final over.
So it is going to be Chappell. This will be the stuff of fairy stories as far as he's concerned, to come back to his former stomping ground and bowl an over that couldn't really be more crucial, if not so going to remain undefeated in the group. But he's not got a lot to play with. 5 would be a tie, 6 would do it. Now then, the field, they're not overly attacking Notts. They've got Ackerman on strike. Here is Chappell. First ball is down the leg side, but it does strike the pad and they take a leg by. That would have been the worst possible. No, he got some bat on it.
Yeah.
Got a bit of bat on it. That would have been the worst possible thing had it slid down the leg side, begin with a wide. But he didn't. It was nice and full.
Had Parkinson not played those 2 shots for 4, I'd be questioning the decision to take the single there, but he played them so well that you think, well, he looks calm and capable, Callum Parkinson here.
You wouldn't imagine he's going to play and miss at the next 3 deliveries, would you?
No.
158 for 6.
But he doesn't want to get out either.
No.
Bring in Davis is a competent batsman. Griffiths, perhaps less capable of striking the ball. 5
balls left, 4 to tie, 5 to win. Chappell from the pavilion end bowls. This one will just come off the thigh pad and run away for a leg by. Duckett doing the fielding. That's just what the Foxes needed.
Are we at the stage where they really have to bring in the field?
I think so.
Really.
I think so.
Go and hit it over them, and if you do, because otherwise they're just going to take the singles.
But they know Ackerman is capable of doing that.
Yeah.
If I was Ackerman, I'd probably be looking to drop it on the leg side and take 2, because everybody there is right out on the fence. There is 2. If you set off and scamper, just drop the ball on the leg side. Will Chappell afford him the opportunity? It comes in to Ackerman. He slammed it crisply to Christian. Will he hit? No, he won't. And they're going to get the overthrow. Dan Christian had to take that on, had to shy at the stumps. Had he hit, then he'd have got Ackerman out. He missed because nobody was able to get there and back up in order to stop the second run. And they do come back for 2. So win-win-win for the Foxes. 2 from it, and they've got Ackerman back on strike. So push and run to Dan Christian at mid-off.
Got to bring him in now, surely.
Yeah. 161, so 1 will tie it, 2 will win it, and there are 3 balls left. Any hat-tricks up your sleeve? Zach Chappell comes in to bowl to Ackerman. Nice and full, clipped away for a single out to Joe Clark. So now the scores are tied, and there are 2 balls left. Parkinson is on strike. To him the opportunity of glory. Imad Wasim now comes over with words of advice for Zach Chappell. He's just sort of been thrown in at the deep end here, hasn't he, Zach? He really has.
Yeah. Christian isn't doing any talking to him. No.
2 balls left.
Tough
Scores are tied.
Nottinghamshire School of Cricket, apparently.
They are in very, very tight on both sides, as you can imagine. So 1 good connection through the field will win it. Here is Chappell in and bowls, and it is pulled to Hales at mid-on. Can he hit the stumps? He misses, and the Foxes have won. The Foxes are home with 1 ball to spare. They've won by 4 wickets, and it's Callum Parkinson with the winning run as Alex Hales shies at the stumps and narrowly misses. And the Foxes have ended the Outlaws' unbeaten run in this season's Vitality Blast. The end of the evening, Notts are top of the North Group still. They are through to the quarter-finals still, but that was an undefeated record that they wanted to take into the knockout stages, and it's gone at the hands of Leicestershire Foxes. Well played to the captain, Colin Ackerman. 67 not out. That's a terrific knock, and he has been the mainstay, and that was the innings that held the Foxes together and saw them over the line, with the honour of the winning runs going to Callum Parkinson.
And those 5 runs that were awarded, penalty runs that were awarded to Leicestershire for what was adjudged to be a deliberate attempt to distract the striker by Stephen Mullaney. Well, Notts will feel that they might well have been crucial. Thank you for joining us here at the Fisher County Ground. For those who've been watching on the stream, another marvellous game of cricket that went almost to the last ball. Just one ball remained. 2 umpires walking off with their hands in their pockets, trying to keep them warm. But an eventful game, and the Foxes live to fight another day in this competition. They're still only 4th in the central group because Durham beat Lancashire earlier. James Whittaker, the match referee, is coming out to talk to Nick Cook and Paul Pollard now, and we'll want the full details on what happened. Paul Pollard is explaining to James Whittaker why he adjudged that the penalty runs should be awarded. They're having this discussion out in the outfield now, and Whittaker's listening. Well, Pollard, not Nick Cook, is doing the explaining. And if we switched on and listened, we might be able to hear this, to be quiet. If we stop talking, if you'd allow us to stop talking, we might be able to hear this. I can't really. I'm tempted to dangle the effects mic over there just to get chapter and verse, but it is Pollard who's doing the talking, so he was the instigating umpire here, wasn't he?
Either way, it's not going to change the result. Nope. There might be a little bit of after-match discussion from certainly from the Notts camp about it, but the Foxes have got the victory. They won by 4 wickets. Many congratulations, Rich. I know this is the last game here this truncated summer. Good luck to you. We say winter well.
Well, who knows? Who knows? Notts have qualified. If Leicestershire go up to Old Trafford on Sunday and win up there, and other results perhaps will need to go in their favour, but they are not quite definitively out of the competition yet. Good luck to Notts, whoever you play in the quarter-finals. And likewise.
Cheers. Thanks for hospitality tonight. I've got to go and do an update into the 8 o'clock news on BBC Radio Nottingham.
And I suspect I'll be required to have a chat to BBC Radio Leicester's DAB listeners if Adam Whitty is on the other end. Yeah. His calmness, really, and he absolutely exuded determination. He's been a little bit unfortunate in this competition, some of the ways in which he's got out, or been gotten out, if you like, a run out here and there that weren't his fault and things like that. 67 not out for Ackerman, 53 balls, 5 fours and a 6. He ensured Leicestershire were basically in touch throughout. But that last partnership with Callum Parkinson got the majority of the runs. He scored 13 out of the 24-run partnership, and those 13 runs came off 8 balls, and he hit 2 of them for 4. Beautiful shots as well, and he was one of the ones who was perhaps most angry, Callum, about not being able to get over the line against Derbyshire. And I think they've probably exercised a few ghosts, really, with that performance. The Foxes, they've shown that they can do it. They've shown that they're not chokers, if you like, and they can get across the line in a game when they've got themselves in a position where they should win. If they can somehow go to Lancashire, who played awfully today in defeat up at Durham, and they will be looking to retrieve their reputation from that defeat, the Lancastrians, because they'll still have a chance of finishing top of the table and playing a quarter-final at home. But at least the Foxes go into the game with something to play for. No, not for. We've seen 5 penalty runs, obviously, on a couple of occasions in televised games, but not involving Leicestershire, I might add. Excuse me. But a deliberate attempt to distract the striker. It was Stephen Mullany chasing down the ball, put in the slide, but the idea being that the striker or the batsman would think he was about to field the ball and not attempt another run as a consequence, it seems. So that's a matter of, well, very subjective judgment, isn't it, on the part of the umpire? And it was umpire Pollard, the former Nottinghamshire player, not umpire Cook, the former Leicestershire player. Let us, I mean, not that I'm remotely suggesting that anything untoward would otherwise have taken place, but it emphasises the point. It was very much the decision of the umpires that's what Stephen Mullany was trying to do. But Notts were seething for some little time after that, and it may be still that they feel a strong sense of injustice as a consequence. Maybe Leicester would have got across the line anyway. Five, they would have judged the chase accordingly. But those 5 runs are looming pretty large at the moment.
sci-fi roboty sound. There we go. We'll see what the other two are like.
I just feel that it may be necessary to win the last three because of that 2 out of 3. 2 out of 3 might just be enough, but I think it might be 3. And given that the 2 outs, I'm so sure I'm not so many lengths away. Both of them will be yeah. Then you can't help feeling that we're up against you.
Oh, really?
Thank you. Oh, I've got a big buzz. Is that somebody's it's not your mobile, is it? Is it? It's the effects light.
You think just because it's touching on the windowsill?
No, it's been alright up to now. I'll change the battery.
It almost seemed like it was just touching on some metal.
Yeah, I've got a big buzz. It's not your mobile. One, two, three. Yeah, it is now new battery, and that sounds right, doesn't it? Okay, lovely. Thank you. Good evening to you, good evening everybody. Yeah, and we talk about must-wins. This is absolutely a must-win for the Foxes to have any chance really of going through to the quarter-finals. Finishing third might not be enough. They have to be one of the two best sides finishing third in the three groups, if that makes any sort of sense. It doesn't necessarily mean they will go through if they finish third. They have to have as many points as the teams that finish above them. So, fingers crossed the Foxes can find the form that saw them beat Yorkshire here last time out, and not the way they played against Durham up in the North East on Sunday. Exactly that. Exactly that. So the big concern, or my big concern if you like, is there's some feeling that they might get away with winning 2 of their last 3 games. My own feeling is they might have to win all 3, and their last 2 are against Nottinghamshire and Lancashire. It is beautiful. It has gone a little bit cloudy now, but the temperature is absolutely perfect. If anything, it's a little bit humid, but the conditions don't really matter too much in that respect. The white ball doesn't really swing, except perhaps the first over or over under half. Thereafter, it tends just to swing over the boundary ropes. The umpires are out there, and Leicestershire are out there now as well, Strings. Leicestershire lost the toss, and they have been asked to bowl first by Derbyshire. Yeah, immensely disappointing. As much, not necessarily because of his potential, which is considerable, he's a very fine young player, but because of the way Leicestershire have looked after him over the last 2 years. He's had a lot of injury problems. Leicestershire stuck by him, obviously kept paying his wages in full, made sure he did all his rehab, made sure he had all the medical treatment he needed, nursed him back into the side, and it's a little bit of a kick in the face to then punts and bowls to Lewis Rees, pushed out into the offside by Rees. He's half interested in the possibility of a single, but Gavin Griffiths is quickly onto the ball, and there is no run. The 2 men out are at long on, Ben Mike and Aaron Lilly, who is down at deep mid-wicket. Parkinson over the wicket to the left-handed Rees. Bowls turned by Rees, this time directly to square leg, where it's picked up by, I think that is Gareth Delaney. No, it's the new man. It's Nick Welsh who's out there. He's making his second appearance for the Foxes. In goes Parkinson, bowls, foolish and clipped. Waited for it, Rees. Didn't try and go big. He clipped it along the ground, through mid-on down towards Ben Mike at long on. So a single taken. Good start from the Foxes' point of view. Conceded 21 off the first over up at Durham, but it wasn't bowled by Parkinson, it was bowled by the aforementioned Tom Taylor, and Paul Nixon, head coach, acknowledged afterwards it clearly was the wrong decision. In goes Parkinson, bowls to Godalman, who works it past Parkinson on the onside. He scrambled across, the young left armour, couldn't get there, ran down to Mike again, another single taken. Leicestershire won't mind that too much. They needed to take the pace off the ball up at Durham. It was that sort of track. What sort of track is this going to be? A better track, I think, in terms of the ball coming on. In goes Parkinson. Tosses that one up. Very full this time. But again, he simply waits for it and clips it straight down the onside, down towards Ben Mike. And there is no run. I beg your pardon, there's obviously a single down to Ben Mike at long gone. Slightly confused then, because it was an odd throw from Ben Mike. He threw it to Will Davis, the fielder, who didn't take it cleanly. In goes Parkinson and bowls, and worked by Godleman out towards mid-wicket this time. In chases Aaron Lee, gets away a good throw. Probably the best fielder on the side, Lilly, who's one of the older members of the side, 29 now. The tame sider. So just singles from the over, 4 of them, and no obvious turn for Callum Parkinson, Michael Perkins, but at least it was an accurate over. Didn't get put away.
It was very much an honours even over in a 2020 game, that wasn't it? 4 singles taken and just nothing really for either side that will be remembered at the end of this game. No boundaries in it, no wickets in it, but both these sides now will be hoping that they'll be able to just start a few more fireworks in this second over, having settled in. It's going to be Ackerman to bowl from the Bennett end. Godleman just assesses his field, because he was such a part of that run to the final in the competition last year, but nothing can seem more distant for Derbyshire at the moment. But they'll very much want to get a win on the board here as Ackerman comes in and bowls. Godleman works into the leg side, and that's going to be a dot ball up at mid-on, so no addition to the total possible there.
He went a bit early at that, maybe did just stop a fraction.
Waits again, in comes Ackerman. No, from this distance anyway, real indication from the pitch of how it's going to play at this stage. Certainly no turn for either of the Leicestershire spinners. That one was played out on the offside. Again, a dot ball recorded by our scorers. Godleman, left-handed, settles in again with that distinctive, slightly awkward style, but he so often finds runs, as he does here. A run in the singular fashion, in fact. Takes the score onto 5 without loss. The floodlights just starting to kick into play here, Richard Ray.
Yep, Gareth Delaney, the fielder there, dropped an absolute goober up at Durham. Probably didn't make any difference in the overall context of the game, but it was symptomatic of Leicestershire's fielding.
Here comes Ackerman with the big fox on the top of the stand at the Bennett end over his left shoulder. He's again worked for 1, this time by Rees, who's on to 3. The score 6 without loss. It's been an accurate start from Leicestershire, that's for sure. Not too much on offer to hit with here. And I guess the spin from both ends is a not unusual tactic in T20, but again perhaps an indication of a feeling there might be a bit of stickiness out there in the pitch. Godleman again working, 7 without loss. The Derbyshire total goes to. One more delivery of the Ackerman over.
Pitch cut very centrally, so the boundaries on either side long.
In comes Ackerman, and he bowls, and forward in defence is Rees, and it was the sort of middle of the day of a championship match shot, really, that one from Lewis Rees. He was just happy to let it hit the middle of his bat and roll out on the offside. 7 without loss is the score at the end of the second over. So again, honours relatively even, but the longer Derbyshire go without a boundary, the more concern will build for the batting side, even though they have wickets in hand.
Yeah, 7 singles from the first 12 balls. Leicestershire be happy enough with that. You're so used to seeing explosive power plays these days that it's all a little bit sedate out there. Callum Parkinson will therefore continue from the pavilion end. Over the wicket he goes to Billy Godleman, who takes a couple of steps down the wicket. Parkinson sees him coming, drags his length back, and all Godleman can do is work it out through mid-wicket down towards Aaron Lilly and take the single again.
So 5 minutes of this game gone already, even though we're now 6 as it ticks on to 26 minutes to.
Parkinson in, could be a stumping, he's a stumping! Outside off stump, Rees advanced down the wicket again. Parkinson saw him coming, speared it wide, lovely delivery from the left arm, and Rees stranded, and Lewis Hill behind the stumps made no mistake. Excellent start for the Foxes, and always good for a spinner to see a stumping taken off his bowling, and a genuine one. He beat him with width on that occasion. Lovely delivery, actually. Looking at the replay, swung away.
Both the Parkinson brothers, actually, in 2020 cricket, sort of using different styles. Obviously, Callum with his left arm and Matt with his leg spin. They do seem to just rack up a lot of stumpings by tempting a batter down and looking for that powerful shot. And it was a superb piece of spin bowling, as you rightly say there, Richard. So Rees out for 3, stumped by Lewis Hill off the bowling of Callum Parkinson.
It was almost a little seamer he bowled when he saw Rees coming, pushed it wide, and it bounced and swung away. And Rees completely beaten to the wide. He goes for 3. The Falcons 8-4-1. Billy Godman comes out to have a word with Wayne Madsen. Don't think there's anything that Billy Godman can tell Madsen that he won't be aware of already. A very, very experienced player, a wonderful player for Derbyshire over the years, and certainly one of the most admired professionals in county cricket. Wayne Madsen.
Yeah, he's an extraordinary player, Madsen.
Right-handed, of course, so Parkinson goes round the wicket, bowls to Madsen, who pushes it out into the covers, can't get it past Ben Mike, who's moved up to cover on the edge of the circle. There is a man at short extra. Will Davis is there for the push to stop the single. In goes Parkinson, bowls, gives it a sweep. It's appeal for leg before, and everybody's pointing at the stumps. Umpire Hassan Adnan comes running in from square leg. The stumps were broken. What did it come off? It's going to be interesting to see the replay.
I think the first indication, it was almost one of those appeals. We don't want it to be a wide ball. We want to let them know it's hit the pad as it goes down the leg side. But the back leg definitely flicked there for me of the batter Madsen.
Parkinson in again to Madsen. Oh, how did that not bowl him? Went straight through him. Parkinson has his hands on his head. It went straight to Hill as well and goes for 4 byes. I can't believe that didn't bowl him, but it didn't.
I don't think.
Did he get an edge on that? Is he signalled 4?
Yep, the runs have gone to Madsen on the scoreboard.
Oh, Well,
that's why it's not hit the stumps, I guess.
Yep, let's have a quick look at that one. Little inside edge, beat Hill, went past leg stump, and it's run away for 4. Is that the break that Madsen and Derbyshire need? 12-1 the Falcons. Goodness me. Parkinson, hands on head for a good 15 seconds after that. In he goes. And bowls down the leg side. That will be signalled wide by umpire Nick Cook, and is. Just speared down the leg side there by Callum Parkinson. 1 for 10 now for him, so very nearly 2 for 5. In he goes. Bowls again to Madsen, again down the leg side. There's appeal for leg before it was going down the leg side, but came off the pad, beat Lewis Hill, trickles down to short fine leg. Gavin Griffiths runs across from short fine leg to field. The extra, however, is taken, so Derbyshire just picked up the run rate. They did lose a wicket in that over, but 7 runs from it, 4 of them fortuitous in the extreme, Michael.
Indeed. The thing that picked up the run rate, brought the boundary, was that very, very thin little edge. And as you say, for all the world, Lewis Hill will have been thinking, this is going to bowl Wayne Madsen, and somehow he just got some little bit of wood on the ball and managed to get it down and away from the wicketkeeper and through fine leg for 4 runs. So we're going to see a change of bowling already. It's going to be Griffiths to come on here, and he's going to pace out a lengthy run from the Bennett end.
Yeah, just the 1 wicket in the competition so far this season for Gavin Griffiths, 26-year-old from Ormskirk.
Trying to add to that now as Wayne Madsen waits. How crucial will that thin little slither of bat prove in this game? 14-1 the score as Madsen tries to add to it as he looks to flick off his pads but doesn't make any great contact. One of the bails knocked off as it was rolled back in. Dot ball.
Good work by Lewis Hill.
And back walks the bowler Griffiths here.
Hassan Azad was run out in that, or stumped I should say, in exactly that way earlier this season in the Bob Willis Trophy.
Yeah,
dawdling outside his crease.
You occasionally see it, don't you? But it's always a little embarrassing for the batter. Madsen has 1 back on the leg side and another down at third as he works this one away towards the edge of the circle, out the edge of the circle, but only 1 run on offer on that occasion takes his total on to 6. The Falcons are 15-1, having chosen to bat in this game.
Good work by Nick Welch, though. Chased it back. He didn't get there, but because he was chasing it back and close to it. Now, what are the umpires having a word about at the moment? I wonder if it was numbers in the circle. Everybody's looking at them.
Everyone's sort of looking at each other in that way that almost school children do, as if, no, we haven't done anything wrong.
I'm keeping an eye on the scoreboard, or there's no ball signal or anything like that, but Hassan Adnan and Nick Cook had a little discussion between deliveries there.
Then Mike switches sides, because of course Godleman's a left-hander, but he has the same two fielders outside the ring, just obviously on opposite sides of the ground now. Back on the square leg boundary and down at third. There's a short extra cover, a cover and a backward point, as well as mid-off that Griffiths runs past now as he bowls right arm around the wicket, and this one's played away gloriously in the end by Godleman. It was a really nice proper cricket stroke to the cover boundary for 4 runs. 19 for 1 the Falcons total moves on to, and Billy Godleman will be feeling a lot better having played that stroke.
Yeah, nice juicy half volley almost outside off stump. No cover on the offside boundary, given we're still deep in the power play.
Mike Perkins and Richard Ray bringing you commentary on the BBC Sport website for BBC Radio Derby and BBC Radio Leicester, as in comes Griffiths to bowl to Godleman again underneath the floodlights, and that one had just a little wobble as it went past the bat, which made you wonder if there was going to be something involved, but of course there was not that thin little slithery sound of wood on ball, and there was no excitement behind the stumps from Lewis Hill, who's got a stumping to bring the first wicket off Parkinson, but there the score remains where it is at 19 for 1.
Better length though from Griffiths, wasn't it? Wasn't it quite as full?
Yeah, it just had a little bit of lift, just enough to evade the outside edge. Of course, they can so easily race away off those outside edges as Godleman taps rhythmically at the crease, and it does come off the outside edge in a way, but Mike will come round from third. Not the Mike in the commentary box, the Mike on the field, whose surname is a first name, and 20 for 1 the score goes to. Certainly the most autumnal feeling cricket ground I've been to so far this season. There was lots of sort of golden and brown leaves on the pavements, I noticed as I walked into the ground. And Madsen comes back onto strike with that single.
Your first visit here, isn't it?
Yes, very first visit, and it's a very strange time to see Grace Road as Griffiths comes in. Bennett end, he bowls, it's driven back down the pitch, and that will be 4 runs, as just about as straight as you can hit it without hitting the stumps at the non-striker's end there from Madsen to complete the over. And much like Godleman will have been with the 4 earlier in the over, that 4 that takes the score on to 24 for 1 for Madsen will be making him feel a lot better than he did with his first one that went past the wicket-keeper off the bowling of Parkinson. All of a sudden a little bit better complexion on the Derbyshire start now.
Yeah, disappointing. Again, umpires talking away to one of the Leicestershire fielders, whether it's just a social or whether it's a lecture of some kind, hard to tell. But Hassan Adnan has been exercised in these opening overs about various things. However, all seems well at the moment. Disappointing for Gavin Griffiths to go out of the over in that way. Again, it was too full, too straight, and Madsen too good a player to miss out, and didn't, especially with mid-on and mid-off both up. So 4 overs bowled, 24 for 1, still only 6 and over in the power play, which isn't too expensive as far as the Foxes are concerned. Will Davis is going to come on to bowl the 5th of the 6 power play overs. Has some good slower balls, Davis.
An ex-Derbyshire, of course.
Indeed. 1 or 2, I'm sure. We'll remember him. In he goes and bowls to Godleman, who waits for a slightly short ball. Straightish, and he cuts it away neatly, but only as far as Griffiths at short third man. Always a single there, though. Assuming Madsen went straight away, which he did. He's still very quick between the wickets, and probably one of the fittest members on the Derbyshire side, age notwithstanding. 25 for 1.
Yeah, he was there very much in the development stage of his career, wasn't he, Will Davis, and chose Leicestershire as a better option to progress it, I guess.
Davis in to Madsen, good delivery, just outside off stump, good length, and took his bottom hand off the bat as he tried to get it away through the offside Madsen, but it was too straight, didn't miss off stump by so very much. And again, a nice little bit of lift and carry through to Lewis Hill, And Billy Godleman wanders down, has a word with Wayne Madsen. Dave Fletcher does a very good impersonation of Billy Godleman. Yeah, Fletcher. In goes Davis and bowls, and Madsen advances down the wicket, hits it back over his head for 6, over long on. Lovely shot from Wayne Madsen. Predetermined, he advanced down the wicket. Davis didn't really adjust his length, and Madsen turned it into an in-the-slot delivery and hit it very cleanly over Ben Mike at mid-on, a long way over Ben Mike at mid-on and over the long-on boundary for 6. I seem to have spent much of the last 6 years when Leicestershire played Derbyshire watching Wayne Madsen score runs. In goes Davis and bowls to Madsen, goes back onto his stumps and turns the delivery to mid-wicket, where it's picked up by George Delaney, who underarms the ball at the stumps, doesn't hit them, but Godleman had gone nowhere.
Yes, I didn't want to mention that when the inside edge went past the leg stump, because Wayne Madsen has been very much a thorn in Leicestershire's side when he's playing for Derbyshire.
Oh, not half.
Another century in the championship game this year, I think.
Indeed, in goes Davis and bowls again to him, looking for the Yorker. Was just about dug out by Madsen. Examines the bottom of his bat down towards leg stump. Wasn't quite as straight, I suspect, as Davis would have liked. It was on 2 leg stump, and indeed Madsen rehearses a clip through the leg side. As it turned out, he just dug it out and back down the pitch to Will Davis, and then just shakes his bottom hand a bit, Madsen, and just jarred. 7 runs off the first 5 balls of Davis over. In he goes again, and bowls turned by Madsen off the back foot out to the vacant mid-wicket area. In from the boundary comes Delaney, who'd gone back, and the single is taken. So given there was a 6 off the 3rd ball, 8 off the over, is not too bad in those circumstances. The Derbyshire Falcons 32 for 1 after 5 overs. Wayne Madsen has 17, Billy Godleman 11 off 11.
The interesting thing about that 6 was it was well timed, as you said, but he barely tried to hit it, really. He just sort of lifted it over the top of mid-on. He was clearly just looking to make sure he cleared mid-on, and it carried all the way, which is some achievement, even straight here at Grace Road. Obviously, square of the wicket, it's one of the biggest, well, it is the biggest hit in the UK, and it's one of the biggest in world cricket. But getting it straight like that is still impressive from Wayne Madsen. It was all just timing. It was very impressive stroke. He's back on strike now. Griffiths in for his 2nd over. It's driven back to him. He went for 10 in his 1st over, and Madsen just trying to look to take advantage of the fielders in the ring here in the 6th over. We still have one back at backward square leg and the other at 3rd. Ben Mike going through some vigorous warm-up exercises now. Callum Parkinson's at short fine leg. There's a straight mid-wicket, a mid-on and mid-off, back on the ring, extra cover points and backward points as Madsen hits over the top again. And will this one go all the way? Not quite. 1 bounce over the boundary, 4 runs is signalled by the umpire. The disco music still goes, even though there's nobody here to hear it. 36 for 1 is the total, but we hope you're enjoying it on the live stream anyway.
It's difficult for Ackerman, this. If Gavin Griffiths is going to bowl straight, then he's going to have to drop a long on or long off back. If he's going to drop short, then okay, you keep out your deep square and you're your 3rd man. But at the moment, he's bowling very straight and mid on and mid off up at the edge of the circle.
14 runs conceded already, and Madsen's going to try and add to that. He'll add 4 to that. It's a lovely shot through extra cover. It's just gone all along the floor, bowls up over the rope. 40 for 1 is the total. Wayne Madsen looking in complete control. It was almost one of those where the batter sort of advances a little bit down the wicket, realises it's not quite there, and goes into almost more of a kind of a back foot position just to find the gap at cover. But Wayne Madsen's on to 25. He's only faced 15 balls, and he is looking ominous indeed, it has to be said.
Yeah. Experience suggests you get him early, or you suffer for it. At the moment, the Foxes, who came desperately close to getting him early, are beginning to suffer for it.
Looks over his left shoulder. He just wants to know exactly where those fielders are. 2 of them back on the leg side now, so 3rd has had to come up. There's a single on offer to the mid-on at the back of the ring. 41 for 1 the Falcons total moves on to. And that is the end of the 6th over. Oh no, it's not. They're switching further field rather than I thought they were all coming together to switch around completely, but of course it's the left-handed Godman who's come on to strike. He's 11 off 11, which isn't a bad start at all either, and of course Derbyshire can play with a little bit of pressure off. Of course they will want their first win of this competition. That will be very valuable indeed, but Billy Godman just tapping the bat gently at the crease. And just sort of such a fluid player, really, although he does have a slight element of discomfort to the way he looks at the crease, but it's very effective indeed. 41 for 1. A little bit of red poking through a cloud, which is built slightly. We move towards dusk.
Gorgeous evening. I wish there was a crowd in, because it's very still, very warm at the Fisher County Ground. Gorgeous atmosphere, gorgeous temperature. Last breath of summer, perhaps.
Richard Ray and Mike Perkins with you on the BBC Sport website. There's a slight little bit of readjustment to the field. Third is back up, 2 on the leg side to Godman. Waits again and goes wide mid-on towards that gap that the two fielders on the boundary have left, just enough to get the single. 42 for 1 is the score, and we are at the end of the 6th over of the innings as we tick past 10 to 7.
42 for 1 off the power play then is, as the players go off to sanitise their hands, a fairly average score, I would think, if not slightly below average at the Fisher County Ground this season. Just looking back, Yorkshire at the end of last week, 67 for 1. Adam Lythe, who's in cracking form, made 50 off 24 balls. And Leicestershire, in reply, 47 for 1 off their power play. It looks a similar sort of wicket, actually, coming on reasonably nicely. So 42 for 1. The Foxes won't be entirely displeased with that. If they'd picked up another wicket, particularly that of Madsen, I think they would have been pretty delighted. Ben Mike coming on at the pavilion end, and Nick Cook is wheeling his left arm round. He wants the players to get on with it. It's in their interest to do so. Cut-off time 6:52. I haven't seen any penalties for missing the cut-off time so far this season in any games featuring the Foxes anyway. So a little bit more cover for Ben Mike. A long on, a deep backward square, a long leg, stroke fine leg, a third man and a sweeper on the cover boundary for the young all-rounder. Billy Godleman shuffles into place, and in goes Mike and bowls to him, and it just swings back, maybe from just outside off stump, and Godleman looking to force it away on the offside, doesn't get anything on it. And as Michael said, he can look such an awkward batsman at the crease, crab-like almost, and
he's
not
almost
many shots from the textbook, but as you say, he has a way, and it's an effective one.
He's almost a contradiction, isn't he? Because he's quite sort of fluid, but quite awkward at the same time, if that makes sense. There's sort of lots of moving parts, but they all seem to just find the right spot.
Mike is in to him again on off stump. He goes back and pushes out into the offside. Good work by Gareth Delaney, who picked it up right-handed, and a little side throw of the ball at the stumps. Madsen was back in his ground, and the throw missed, but keeps him honest. Plenty of backup as well in the form of George Rhodes, who's at shortish mid-wicket on the push at the moment. The only man on the push on the leg side. Mike in again to Godleman, on to the pads, thumps into the pads of the Derbyshire skipper, bounces back down the pitch. Mike is quickly onto it. Godleman has to get back into his crease, so a good start for Ben Mike. 3 dot balls thus far. Derbyshire 42 for 1, 6.3 overs. The run rate at the moment 6.5.
Yeah,
it looks to me like a 170, 180 wicket, really, at least.
Yeah, it's just got that slight little kind of thatchy feel to it, but other than that, it looks a belter, doesn't it?
Mike is in again to Godleman, again on towards leg stump, middle and leg, tucks him up a little bit. He shovels it out to only as far as George Rhodes, who's at that short mid-wicket position. Again, another dot ball. Good stuff this from Ben Mike. He is a cricketer of wonderful potential, Ben Mike, and he's begun to show it even more so this season. Still, you do get a little bit of inconsistency with him, but really, he's an international cricketer in the making for me. In he goes. Bowls again at 2. Godleman, who cuts and gets hit through the man at backward point. Disappointing. He's gone through for 4. I thought Nick Welsh, who is the man at backward point, diving across to his right, might just have got something on that. And I think he did, judging by the fact he's holding his right hand. It didn't look to be too far from him. It was cut with great force and timing by Godleman, but Welsh will be disappointed, and so will Leicestershire, that he didn't manage to get a little bit more on that. Certainly Godleman paused, and then he saw it had gone through Welsh. Mike in to finish his over. Bowls, and that's a straighter delivery, pushed out past the man at short extra down towards Ackerman at mid-off, and Godleman, seeing that Rhodes wasn't going to be able to get there, called quickly for the run, and it was a comfortable one in the end. But even so, just 5 runs from the over. Good start for Ben Mike. Derbyshire, after 7 overs, are 47 for 1.
Well, the boundary was very much required in that over, because had it not come, it would have been a very poor one from the Derbyshire point of view. 47 for 1. They just seem to be struggling to get the measure of this pitch. I mean, that seems a strange thing to say, given some of the boundaries that Wayne Madsen has hit, but it just seems at the other end he maybe needs to get the strike back a bit more, because he's the one who's timed it.
They could have done without that single there, possibly, Derbyshire at this stage off the last ball, but Godleman plays his own game. Always has, always will, I suspect.
And it can go from 0 to 100 in no time at all from Billy Godleman when he does get it right. Has to settle for another dot ball there, though. Ackerman back into the attack from the Bennett end. Little terrace street away to the left as we look on from the commentary box at the opposite end from the bowling, and this one's forced away into the offside, and Madsen's going to try and get back. He will comfortably, and the throw goes to the other end as a result, and Godleman is actually left having to stretch the hamstrings a little bit, but he's on to 19 with those. 49 for 1. Derbyshire just short of their 50.
That's Milligan Road, as in Spike.
I
suspect it's not actually named after Spike. The house is being built in the, it looks like about 30s, 20s, isn't it?
Yeah, got sort of like white little tops to the windows.
You're in the Aylestone district here.
Slate roofs and brown brickwork as this one's played away into the leg side. There will be a single on offer. It was a sort of thin little sound off the bat, but it does bring up the Derbyshire 50. 50 for 1. The Derbyshire total after 7.3 overs.
You're right, the trees down Milligan Road are now the leaves on the trees are now turning very yellow.
Almost a Leicestershire kit colour. And they've almost gone from the green of the trousers to the yellow of the tops, as this one's played away by the dark blue kitted Madsen, and Leicestershire will probably settle for a single there. 51 for 1.
An awful lot of teams playing in various shades of yellow in the T20 this season that we have come up against. Lancashire not, of course, still in their bright red, and Derbyshire have retained their sort of navy-ish blue.
In comes Ackerman again, right arm off spin, and clipped away, and this is going to be a tight single, but Madsen was always, as soon as it hit the bat, he set off, and he knew, because the connection wasn't good, he was always going to get there. 52 for 1. There was that season in the T20, it might have even been a couple of seasons, where it seemed as if everyone was playing in everyone else's kit. Lancashire were in a sort of light green thing, Durham were in a more kind of blue and red that you'd expect of Lancashire, as this one is worked away into the leg side, and Madsen gets to the non-striker's end. 53 for 1, and that will become the striker's end, because we've reached the end of the 8th over. The Derbyshire 50 coming up halfway through it.
Yeah, 6 runs off the over. Ackerman will be okay with that. 2 overs he's bowled now, none for 9 for Leicestershire's skipper. Hasn't been quite as successful this season in terms of his bowling as he was last season, of course, when he famously became the world record holder, a record that's going to take some beating. Just a couple of wickets for him so far this season. 1 for 16 up in Leeds. That was Leicestershire's home game against Durham, and 1 for 23 at Chester Street in the away game against Durham. So Gareth Delaney is going to essay his varieties of leg spin. Have a go from the pavilion. He's been pretty good this season, Gareth Delaney. He's gone for a few, as you would expect from a leg spinner, especially a reasonably occasional one, as he is, but he's picked up his share of wickets. Go through those in a moment, but the Young Ireland international just wipes his hand on the turf. He's ready to bowl now to Wayne Madsen. In he goes and bowls to Madsen. Little bit of shape to that one. Madsen goes back, tucks him away through mid-wicket. Going to pick up two. Ben Mike is in quickly, but Madsen is fast as well. Turned his ankle, didn't he, earlier this season in the T20 competition. He went over on it and had to bat with a runner. I forget who that was against. It was one of the televised games. But he's a fast recoverer, clearly. He waits with that familiar, slightly open stance as Delaney goes in and drops very short. Madsen goes back and pulls it away, but he's picked out the man on the deep square boundary, so it is going to be just a single. Harry did, and it is out there. Madsen has to settle for one. As I say, he moves on to 31 off 20. The Falcons 56 for one, beginning to build their score.
Curses there into that warm September sky from Wayne Madsen. He felt he should have got more for that.
Delaney in to Godleman, tosses it up outside off stump, doesn't turn. Godleman tries to crack it away through the offside, misses, not taken cleanly by Hill, who's cross with himself. White gauntlets rehearse the take. As a solitary magpie flies overhead, that's not a good sign. In goes Delaney and bowls straighter this time, tucked away off the front foot by Billy Godleman, and that curious little shuffling run of his, he takes one.
By way of comparison, Worcestershire are 73 for one after 8 overs in the other game taking place at the moment in the Blast.
That's down at Wantage Road against Northampton. In goes Delaney, bowls an attempted scoop by Wayne Madsen, misses it, and Hill is struck on the body as it bounces over the top of the stumps. And Hill seemed to take his eyes off that one as well. In fairness to him, he raises his eyes to the heavens. In fairness to him, Madsen obscured it till the very last second.
First look, I thought he maybe took it in the grill for a moment.
Yeah. In goes Delaney, a reverse sweep this time by Wayne Madsen. Aaron Lilly is out there on the cover boundary, gets to the ball at sort of a wide third man position, and it is just 2 to Madsen, so no boundaries conceded in the over from Delaney. In fact, just 6 runs from it. Again, Leicestershire won't be too unhappy about that.
Having had a quick peek at the stream there on the replay, it did, I think, hit him in the helmet, and he's just going to change that helmet now, actually. Is Lewis Hill. As you say, he had absolutely no chance because Wayne Madsen had entirely obscured his view of the ball by making himself just about as big as possible to try and flick it over his head. But we saw those famous rubbery wrists that come from Wayne Madsen's hockey background in many ways. The other results in the Blast today: Gloucestershire a big win by 50 runs over the Birmingham Bears in the earlier game. It's very good to have cricket with us here, and of course we waited so long for it this summer, and this may be a game where there's obviously more riding on it for Leicestershire than Derbyshire, but given how long we waited, these players will be eager to do their thing on a couple more occasions. But Derbyshire, you feel, just need to make use of these wickets in hand now to allow them to get a bit of a move on. It's going to be Davis to bowl from the Bennett end this time. He went for 8 runs in his first over. There's a mix-up here, and Madsen could well be run out, should be run out, and is run out. We wait for the confirmation of the signal, but Wayne Madsen is run out. He's trudging off. There was a real mix-up with Billy Godleman there. Godleman got to Madsen's end, and Madsen basically hadn't left his crease and had to sprint as quickly as he could. And having looked very fluent for 33, Wayne Madsen is run out and heading off the pitch. 59 for 2, the Falcons score.
Terrible call from Billy Godleman. Terrible call, because Madsen had to wait in his crease because the man at short extra dived across and looked to be getting a hand to it. Did get a hand to the ball, didn't take it cleanly, but it ran on towards mid-off. Madsen hadn't been able to go. I'm sure what Godleman was thinking there, but it wasn't the wisest of call, and a very disappointed Wayne Madsen. A slightly reproachful glance, I suggest, at his captain. But as I say, Godleman does everything his way. there's something contrary about him in every game. There's something that, you know, he doesn't do things other than individually, Billy Godleman, but he's very effective at what he does. But he may have done his side no favours there. 59 for 2. Madsen run out for 33.
Yeah, off just 22 balls as well. I think the thing was, from the Billy Godleman point of view, not only was it a bad call, he stayed committed to it, and he kept going in the same direction, and that left them both stranded pretty much at the same end. I think Madsen might have made his mind up to go just a couple of paces before Godleman got to the crease, but that was about it. Davis bowling. This one worked into the leg side by the new batsman, which is Lewis Deploy, and the fielding done there by Delaney with a little tumble over on his shoulder. Moving to 7:05, so you can see Kevin Howes has arrived in the box, so we'll allow him in to bring you a little bit more of his insight on this game. But well, we said Derbyshire needed to get a move on at the start of this over, and all they've succeeded to do so far is lose a wicket. Lewis Deploy is on strike, moves across his stumps and works it into the leg side. That'll be his first run. Will it be his second? Well, the head down to the non-strikers end again from Billy Godleman, and on this occasion it doesn't produce a wicket for Leicestershire. 61 for 2.
Now, that was safe enough. The two Foxes fielders involved in the run-out, by the way, were George Rhodes diving across to his left from short extra, and then Colin Ackerman picking up the ball and hurling it to Lewis Hill. All Ackerman's throw had to be was reasonably accurate, and the captain made no mistake.
Running in now then is Davis. Lewis Deploy with a roll of the wrist, hits it down to long leg, and there is one more added to the total. 62 for 2 in the darkening skies here at Grace Road.
103 runs in the T20 coming into this game. Deploy at 25's a best of 53 not out. So a fairly ordinary competition, like most of the Derbyshire players, it has to be said, so far.
Here's Davis, pacing in again, and Godleman will work it into the leg side. Long on is back, so the single is a comfortable one to be taken, and there was no prospect of a 2 there. 63 for 2. So often when batters miss-hit the ball, a 2's there, but not on that occasion, because it was still straight along the line of the long-on fielder as Davis takes the ball again and turns, and Deploy waits, just trying to get his innings underway. He's moved the board on a couple of occasions in this over, and he moves it once again. 64 for 2 is the Derbyshire total at the end of the 10th over. I will make a hasty retreat because we've got a little bit of microphone swapping to do to let Kevin Howes in.
64 for 2 at the halfway stage. This is not a 140 wicket one feels. It's see what Kevin thinks when he manages to get himself established, but I feel it's a nearer 170 sort of wicket. That's tended to be the case here at the Fisher County Ground so far this season, so plenty of responsibility on Godleman and Deploy's shoulders so far. Billy Godleman this season has had a terrible T20, to be quite honest. Came into this game having scored a total of 36 runs with a best of 17, so 23 off 27. In goes Ackerman, tosses one up onto the leg stump of Deploy, who waits for it and just turns it out towards deep mid-wicket. Aaron Lilly comes in, picks up, gets the throw away to Hill on the bounce, and the single is taken. And it's very good evening for the first time to Kevin Howes.
Good evening. You know,
what an evening as well.
Second evening, I brought all my layers with me, thinking it's going to get colder.
It's just gorgeous.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
It really is. In goes Ackerman, drops short, goes back, cuts. Godleman out towards deep backward point, didn't onto the ball quickly, gets his throw away. Again, it's just one. Pitch looks okay to me.
Yes, no, I can't lay any blame for what appears to be a very modest start here for the Falcons.
Deploy on strike as Ackerman goes into his compatriot Fullish, steered out, controlled shot from Deploy out to the vacant point area, again down to Dearden, straight to him this time, so again just the one. Ackerman parsimonious at the moment, not conceding boundaries, famous last words. In he goes, bowls to Godleman, who makes a bit of room for himself. Ackerman follows him And all Godalmand can do is just turn it off his legs down towards short fine leg, where it's picked up by Callum Parkinson. Single taken again. Ackerman mops his brow with his sleeve, waits for Davis to run across to backward point, goes in and bowls to Godalmand, who works him down towards short fine leg. Parkinson runs around towards short long leg, if that's not a contradiction in terms. Picks up, gets his throw away, single taken again, brings Duploi back down. It's Godalmand back down on strike. The scoreboard's the wrong way around. Godalmand works it down towards long off, through wide extra cover. Again, it's just one, however. Single taken. So singles off all deliveries in that over, bar one. Ackerman, 3 overs for 14 is a pretty decent effort in terms of economy rates. And the Falcons, after 11 overs, 69 for 2, run rate 6.3. Not enough, you would feel.
You'd imagine the Falcons are low on confidence. Competition really is over for them. Would hope it's a different feeling for the Foxes. I know that it's third, and it's going to be a struggle to try and break into that top 2. Not mathematically impossible, but there is to play for here. And hopefully, from a Leicestershire point of view, there's confidence to go with that. And certainly, having restricted the Falcons the way they have so far as well.
And they've gone to Lilly now, who's only bowled in one other game in the T20 so far this season, but again an indication that they feel spin very much the way to go.
And it is Lilly, bowling from the Bennett end, leaning back Godalmand straight back to the bowler, and there will be no run off the first ball of the 12th over, with the Falcons at 70 for 2. Godalmand on 26, Duploi on 7, and it's Godalmand facing at the moment. He tries to give that a big heave, though there will be a run, but it's along the ground up to long on. I think he was initially trying to create a bit of space to work it away on the offside, but had to stop and check himself. He moves to 27 and takes the Falcons up to 71 for 2 now. Duploi uses the feet, but then has to stop himself with a ball that's a little bit quicker and fuller. Lilly spotting him coming, possibly. And therefore it's a dot ball into the offside. So Lilly getting through this over very quickly. There is enough space out there on the onside for a single and nothing more for Duploi to move to 8 and 72 for 2 in this 12th over. The bearded Aaron Lilly. Gosh, he can strike a ball well. I'm looking forward to seeing him with the bat maybe a little bit later on. This one is whipped towards him off his bowling by Godalmand. And Godalmand at the moment struggling to get any timing as well on the ball. He's looking to work it around. He's looking to be busy. But Lilly getting the better at the moment. He's in again, the bowler. And this time he does create enough space, but it will just be a single now towards deep extra cover, towards the scoreboard away to our left-hand side, completes another over, of which the Falcons really have not capitalised too much. They've taken the score on to 73 for 2, Duploi on 8 and Godalmand on 28, and Lilly's over has only cost 3 runs. You'll take that at this stage? 4 runs, and the board's not ticked over, beg your pardon. It says 6 deliveries there, but it's not gone over by that 4. So there we are.
Take that every time, the Foxes, that's for sure. And Callum Parkinson is going to come back on 2 overs, 1 for 11 for Callum, the left arm spinner. We watched Matt yesterday taking wickets, making the huge difference for Lancashire against Yorkshire. Can Callum replicate his twin brother's success? In he goes and bowls to Godalmand, who hits him high, down, over, long off, just over, and it is going to go for 6. He was beaten in the flight there, Billy Godalmand, but he still used his muscle and his bat and his timing just to get the ball away, high, over, long off, dropped just over the fielder there. And no wonder Parkinson had his chin in his hand for a moment there. He'll feel there's a little bit of injustice there, but a good hit from Godalmand as Parkinson goes in to him. He should be stumped, and in fact he's bowled. He was beaten again in the flight. A horrible swipe from Godalmand. Having hit the 6, it always puzzles me a bit why the batsman tries to do so again instead of just working it away and banking the 6, so to speak. Advanced down the wicket. Parkinson did beat him again in the flight, but this time the swing and miss missed, and off stump was knocked back.
Reasons for that? Well, you'll just have to ask him, I guess, and you may not get a chance.
It was a stumping, I beg your pardon.
what I imagine is going on there is starting to feel confidence. I think, okay, let's just ram home here that I'm on top of this bowling. But, you know, the Parkinsons, nobody does that to the Parkinsons, shall we say, put on his street voice. Nobody messes with the Parkinsons like that, either of them, whether they be Lancashire or Leicestershire. And he had the better of him in the end. But that's presumably what happened. But he's lost his wicket. Didn't ever look totally comfortable. And therefore, from that point of view, I'd go back to what you were saying. He would have been much better, having got that six, to have thought, right, let's stop here until I feel really in the groove. And the result there was the loss of a wicket.
Good bowling from Parkinson, who will feel that the six from the previous ball was a little bit of an injustice, but what a good way for the young left armer to come back. So in comes Matt Critchley, another big hitter, or arguably the big hitter on the Derbyshire side. Big, tall right-hander. Parkinson goes round the wicket to Critchley. Bowls, tosses that one up, played back firmly down the pitch on the front foot by Critchley. Parkinson falls rather than dives to his right to make the stop. 79 for 3, the Falcons. Parkinson in again and bowls, and Critchley goes forward. The ball does straighten a little bit and it takes a thick outside edge, squirts off along the ground towards backward point where it's picked up by Will Davis. The single is taken, but there was just a suggestion there for Parkinson.
Yeah, well, he put his arm up, not with that much, if you like, commitment, but asked the question.
Back over the wicket he goes to Leos Deploy, who attempts the reverse sweep. Not sure whether that came off the outside edge, top edge, or the pad. Either way, it made its way down to Gavin Griffiths, who is at short third man, and no run resulted. Parkinson tosses the ball from hand to hand, changes in the field, and he goes again to finish his over. Bowls, Deploy digs it out as he advanced down the wicket, almost yorked himself. Played it firmly enough though in the end through the vacant mid-off area down to long off for a single. So having conceded 6 from the first ball, Parkinson came back very strongly, conceded only 2 more runs from the over, and did of course take the wicket. The Falcons, after 13 overs, are 81 for 3.
And at this stage, well on top. And it's going to take something special from the Falcons to give themselves something half decent to defend here. And a match situation, group situation, where for the Foxes in third, they can only stay in third with the win tonight, but keeping the pressure on those other teams who are currently in that third position as well, amongst the other groups, 2 best players. There is quite a lot to rest upon this game for the home side, and the start of the next over, creating a little bit of space for himself. Leos Deploy, and boy does he make the most of it. That's a very fine strike over extra cover and in towards the stands and the family stand out there to our left hand side. He struck that very well. We haven't seen too many shots like that this evening, and he makes the most of it. Just looking at the Manhattan here, not too many high rise, shall we say, blocks so far on that column, and 85 for 3 the Falcons with that boundary, and Deploy has moved on to 13. Next delivery will go not quite in the same direction, but it's off towards long off along the ground this time. Actually quite nicely struck, but not with that brutal power that we saw from a previous delivery. So he moves to 14, and the Falcons on to 86 for 3 now, so a 4 and a single so far.
Why do you think he took Lilly off, having conceded just 4?
Well, again, I'm afraid I'm going to have to refer you to my previous answer. You're going to have to ask him, because it is a bit of a struggle to understand why. Where are we now? We're in the 14th over. Dangerous people out there who, if you can subdue and not create that pace of which we saw that first delivery, Deploy made the most of. Critchley is on 1, and it's Davis bowling, and worked out to the man on the long on boundary. Quick running, but only enough to get a single. It's one of those where it's been so often mentioned, the size of the playing area here, but if you hit it too well, it is only going to be a single. If you just don't quite hit it so well, you might be able to, because of so much space, come back for the second. But at the moment, the Falcons still really feeling their way, even though we're already in the 14th over, so there's no way they can be that subtle about it, really. Deploy on 14. Up onto his toes and pushed again. Thumped up to long off. And Deploy moves to 15 and takes the Falcons up to 88 for 3 now. So it's been that boundary off the first delivery of the over. 3 singles to follow. Deploy's moved to 15. Critchley back on strike. About to face his 4th delivery. He's 2 not out. Trying to build something here, the Falcons. It's been a bit scratchy to date. What can they do in these last 6 or 7 overs? Next delivery worked away on the onside, and I think that was Aaron Lilly who just put himself in the wrong position there. He was trying to anticipate. They go through for 2 runs. He's trying to anticipate the same shot again, which was going to go fairly straight or through that mid-on area, and he sort of moved himself to the left-hand side, and guess what? It went a yard or 2 to his right. He probably, yes, he stayed where he was. He might have been able to stop it, but it was hit well, so that's not a given. But the Falcons moved to 90 for 3. And there's 1 ball remaining of this over now. He's going to go way out into the deep.
Yeah, 9 off the over so far, so a good over for Derbyshire.
Ben Mike comes up inside the circle here at short, fine leg, with Lilly put out on the mid-wicket boundary, and Davis, I think something either flies in his fly. Can't imagine it's so warm. We still got flies around here in September.
Oh, there are few around.
You reckon?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, well maybe that's what it was. Something got in his eye, and therefore he sort of aborts his approach. And he's back to his mark and turns again to come in from the Bennett end, running in towards us. He's bowling to Matt Critchley on 4, and Critchley works that away on
2.
the onside. It could be 2 because, but again the approach there good from the field. It came in really quick. Maybe a chance for some overthrows from a ricochet, but no, there isn't. It's just the single to finish off that over. So that, with a score of 91 for 3, Deploy on 15, Critchley on 5 after 14 overs. That's the other side of it here, I suppose, Richard, that because of this wide area, if the fielders there on the boundary or just in from the boundary, if they attack that ball and put the doubt, you have to put the doubt in the mind of the batsman, otherwise there could quite easily be a 2, couldn't there, in that situation? But he attacked it well.
It is quite quick, as you say, the outfield here. The Australians, Clint Mackay, Mark Cosgrove, they used to call it the ice rink. The Grace Road outfield. To 10 off, the highest number of runs off overs so far is 10, and on both occasions they've come from Davis overs. In goes Parkinson and bowls a full toss that's worked by Matt Critchley down 2 long on. He takes 1. Will feel he missed out even a little bit there, Critchley, but he's has only just come in, relatively speaking. 5 off 5 for him, 15 off 14 for Leos Duploy. In from the point boundary comes Harry Dearden. Over the wicket goes Parkinson. It's worked down 2 long off, and then a good attempt by Nick Welsh to get his hands underneath the ball. He was never really going to get there, but he did put in the dive anyway. It bounced up and I think hit him round about the shoulder. I think it bounced about 2 or 3 feet in front of him, but the young Zimbabwean, who's just signed his first professional contract with the Foxes, did well to stop the ball. Round the wicket goes Parkinson. Back into his stumps goes Critchley and pulled out towards mid-wicket, and he's found the gap. Nice shot from Critchley. He went back and he worked it away through mid-wicket, but he put enough power in the shot for it to race away down the slope towards the Leicestershire changing area in front of the meet. Critchley picks up 4, moves into double figures, 97 for 3. Bit of momentum suddenly for the Falcons. In goes Parkinson, drags it down a little bit, worked this time by Critchley out towards mid-wicket, and they are going to pick up 2 this time. In goes Delaney, hurls the ball at the stumps, puts in the dive. Duploy made his ground, and the throw bounced over the stumps anyway. Would have had to hit them directly. Gareth Delaney, I beg his pardon. Who's George Delaney?
His uncle.
Must be in the family somewhere. In goes Parkinson and worked into the leg side again. Parkinson goes in pursuit of it. Duploy turns, interested in the possibility of a second. Delaney got there quickly though, and through to the man with the gauntlets this time, as you are always told to do. 100 up for the Derbyshire Falcons.
Interesting. They look quite busy, a bit more purpose to them, and perhaps working out, well look, they're not bowling that many bad balls, so we're going to find the boundary here. They did find it beautifully, a lovely placement a minute ago, but just a bit more purpose about them.
Over the wicket goes Parkinson to Duploy, who waits for the delivery just on off stump, steers it slightly wide of Griffiths at short. Third man Griffiths gets across, but again the single is taken, and again with the boundary off the over, we've had the 1, 2, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 off the over again.
Yeah, I feel a little bit sorry for Davies in the sense that obviously creating that better pace, you're opening yourself up to concede a few more, but it does bring about that puzzle as to why take off Lilly. You said he's not bowled regularly?
No, this is just the second T20 game in which he's bowled this season. 0 for 10 against Yorkshire off 2 overs, I think it was.
Any injury? Any sort of... No?
Nope.
Well, what are we going to see now? Griffiths coming back for a third over. Bowled 2 overs for 20 runs. And it's 101 for 3. Next delivery round the wicket, and that's helped on its way. That's played very nicely by Deploy. That's not going to be cut off, just down in front of the meet there away to our right hand side. So this has got now the look of something about it for the visitors that was missing earlier on. Now Deploy and Critchley, they are talented, gifted individual batsmen. And Leicestershire would not have thought any differently, of course not. But they've got to be on their guard here now, because you give this pair now feeling a little bit more settled, and certainly got quite a lot of intention about them now. And if they can't find the boundaries, they're working hard to turn those 1s into 2s, that sort of thing. It's Deploy facing on 21. And now this has gone in the air. I'm not too sure. Has this got the ground to go over the boundary? No, the catch is taken. Terrific catch. And that's been taken on the long on boundary. And it is the wicket down of Deploy. He has gone for 21 of 18 deliveries, and it is the bowling of Griffiths who has struck. It's way in the distance. We're going to blame this wide expanse of playing area here, but that went so high up into the early evening sky and came down. It was a good catch, that was, because he was looking at the night sky. It was not easy. It went up an awful long way, so the top edge, you put plenty in it, and then the catch just taken down as he fell to the ground on his right knee. So a good catch, and it is an important wicket to have taken. So we were saying, deploying Critchley, going extremely well. So to break up that partnership was needed here by Leicestershire. For all the fact they've had the better of the evening so far, that, as I say, is a very important wicket, bearing in mind the sort of platform, early stages of platform that wicket was setting. 105 for 4 in this 16th over.
And it was Will Davis was the man who got underneath it. Took it quite casually in the end.
Well, but I thought he did well.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely agree.
He was down on his sort of sliding in towards the end there.
But he's a good fielder. Griffiths will be relieved. Needed that one.
Batsman cross, so Critchley's on strike. He's on 13, looking for a 5th wicket here now, are the Foxes. And that one is pushed up towards the long on boundary, but the man from mid-off comes dashing around to do the fielding. 1 run though. And the score will now move to 106 for 4 in this 16th over. We're midway through.
21 off 18 balls for Leos Deploy.
This match in the North Group. And the only game being played in the North Group today. Only 3 games for the Vitality Blast today. Earlier, Gloucestershire on a great roll in their group, way out in front. Victory over Birmingham Bears by 50 runs. That's 2 big victories for Gloucestershire now. As we see this next ball being bowled, there won't be a run to come from that. Hughes being the new batsman out in the middle, so he's got to find his feet just as quickly as he possibly can. Alex Hughes coming out to join Matt Critchley.
Yeah, the run rate at the moment is still below 7 for the Falcons, 6.8, which suggests a score of around about 145. The Foxes would be more than happy with that.
So it's Griffiths coming into bowl to Hughes, right arm over, in now. That's Yorker length, good ball, and all he can do really is keep that out. They shouted at each other, no, looking at the possibility, but there wasn't any there. Very quickly onto it at backward point. Question of surviving that delivery, really. He's got that spot on. It really has. Often, of course, it's the question not of the skill, it's of the consistency, it's of the getting it right more often than getting it wrong. And when Griffiths gets it right, he gets it right, as that delivery showed. 1 ball left of this third over. He's in again and bowls again. It's gone a long way up in the air. A man comes in from the boundary. It's going to fall short of him, though. So he'll go through for 2. Be careful going through for 2. Make sure there's not going to be any silly run-outs. But that went up a long way, and there was a lot of distance there. Out there for the fielder to come in and try to get to that. Never really on. 108 for 4. Hughes, with those 2 runs, is 2 not out. Critchley on 14. Griffiths now has bowled 3 overs, 1 for 27. And there was the wicket, there was a 4, a couple of dot balls, a single and a 2 in that as well. So 16 overs gone. The Falcons trying to make the best of what has been not a great start to the innings, just starting to get going with that last partnership that fell away. So Richard Ray, and then Mike will be back in to join him.
Gareth Delaney is going to bowl the 17th over, and he's going to bowl it from the pavilion end to Matt Critchley. Critchley looks around, sees a split field in terms of boundary riders. In goes Delaney and bowls. Critchley's bowled, just went forward, little prod, might just have gone on with the arm, might have been the googly, might have just have turned back inside, and Critchley is gone for 14. So another big blow struck by the Foxes. Critchley can do so much damage late in an innings. Not tonight, however. He's gone bowled Delaney for 14, and the Falcons now 108 for 5. Leicestershire, you feel, Michael, on top now.
They're well on top now. You were talking about 170 maybe being the score on this wicket when you were looking at the early stages. Well, to channel the absent Dave Fletcher, they ain't going to get that. And it's difficult to see how they're going to mount a total from here that's going to challenge. They'll get up around the 130, 140 mark. Of course, Leicestershire bowled out in their previous game for 130, so maybe that will provide hope. But it doesn't look like the sort of total that's going to be enough on this wicket.
Delaney is in again. That one is down the leg side and turned by Anuj Dal, but only as far as Gavin Griffiths, who's at short fine leg. Had he left it, it would have been signalled wide. He didn't. He prodded it away down towards Griffiths. Won't be displeased about that. Gareth Delaney has picked up a few wickets now this season. Tell you how many in a moment. In he goes and bowls short to Alex Hughes, who sweeps him out as far as Harry Dearden, who's on the square leg boundary. Good work by Dearden, running away to his left, taking the ball on the bounce, getting his throw away and keeping the runs down to just 1. Delaney turns just a stride, and then he almost walks in before delivering the ball, tosses it up, hit in the air, back past Delaney. In from the boundary comes Will Davis, who's at long on. Sees that it's only ever going to be just the single, so he just lobs it back towards Gareth Delaney. 111 for 5. Good over so far. In he goes again and bowls, and reaching for the sweep on the full. Alex Hughes falls over well outside off stump. It was a delivery that might have gone on to hit off stump. Rather awkward piece of cricket, shall we say. Not very graceful, but he's picked up a single for it. Moves on to 4.
He got to the other end in the end, was about all you could say there.
Delaney in to Dahl. A couple of steps down the wicket. Lovely clean hit over deep mid-wicket for 6. Lovely clean hit. So what had been a very, very good over from Gareth Delaney. Wicket .1111 ends with a 6. So a punch back from Anuj Dal, and the Falcons at the end of the 17th over have moved on to 118 for 5.
Just the third 6 of the innings. We saw Wayne Madsen go to that boundary. We saw Billy Godleman go to that exact same area of the ground, even though it was long off to him, and then of course was stumped off the very next ball. And Anuj Dal has now found the area. It was Obviously, he's right-handed like Wayne Madsen, but it was a very different shot there. You felt Anuj Dar was having to put a lot into that one to get it over the rope, whereas Madsen just lifted it with great ease, and it was almost like his bat was a big trampoline that just took it over mid-on, and it just kept. As we see Griffiths to bowl his 4th over now from the Bennett end. See the street lights now over out through that left corner of the ground, and walking towards the yellow seats is a extra fielder, because leg side here, Leicestershire. Mid-on is in the ring, and playing out into that leg side is Hughes, and they're going to look for the 2 here. Dahl is very quick, Hughes is fairly quick, and the throw was slightly away from the stumps, and it's amazing how those tiny little margins, that throw was only slightly return run, looked very comfortable in the end. 120 for 5 the score goes to with that 2.
2 batsmen confer.
I think this is a catch me breath type walk down the wicket.
17 balls left. They can get up to 150. Feel they're in the game.
It would take boundaries, and that's exactly what Hughes is going to be looking for now, and he might get one, although he might also be caught, because it's a long old fence. He bounces behind the fielder and away for 4 runs. And Harry Dearden, he'd probably crept in a little few paces after that last one where the batters got back for 2. It's gone over his head, and it's Ben Mike, in fact, who's come into the attack, and he's been dispatched for a boundary. 124 for 5.
Yeah, Lilly will be... Well, the bowler won't be open. Maybe they've been told, the fielders, to come in 10 yards, but when it lands between the fielder and the boundary,
it's often the tactic, isn't it, to come in a few yards. It's down to Delaney now at long leg. Only 1 on that occasion, because it was hit firmly, but straight at Delaney. 25 for 5 is the total. It looked, when he first hit it, you were thinking, oh, there could be a 6 here, but I'm sure in your experience of knowing the length of the boundaries, you thought, actually, there might be a catch, and then it ends up landing behind the fielder.
And Lilly sort of raised his arms helplessly towards the bow. It's probably what he's been told on that basis, come be in 10 yards.
Running in again is Mike to bowl to Dahl, who just seemed to kind of jab the bat at it and make any contact, which at this stage of the innings is a cardinal sin. 125 for 5. It's long on who his feet were touching the edge